but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking, but no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
It's Meals on Wheels. 1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers Securities Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Field! Number 70!
We're talking about practice.
Hello, you play to win the game.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
3, 2, 1, happy 2000!
No time on the clock, and the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36.
Jordan open, Chicago with the lead.
Worldwide Sports Radio Network presents Below the Mark.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Below the Mic. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Mr. Speedy Petey. Remember, you can reach us by calling us at 631-500-0548. You can also go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done that already. And if you haven't, man, oh man, I would like to smack you around a couple of times. All you got to do is go to iOS, which is WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Speedy Petey is back in the studios. He does not have COVID-19, so that's a good sign.
I do not. Yes, thankfully, my grandfather was negative, and the person he was exposed to also had a negative test too. So good signs there.
Yes, and I will say this before we get into our sports and entertainment news. I know a lot of people have been taking shots at me. Yes, they've been taking shots at me with this whole Tom Brady, Joe Montana argument. We're going to get into that after we do sports and entertainment news. I have my own thoughts to why I still think Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. So as you guys know, we do this every single Wednesday for Below the Mic. Speedy.
Sports and entertainment news.
Hit it. 6 NFL teams that should trade for Russell Wilson. Well, I don't know about you, but I haven't heard anything about Russell Wilson getting traded. But why not? Everybody's getting traded now. Every single quarterback. The next thing you know, Tom Brady will be traded to the Lions. So, I don't know. Raiders have turned down Derek Carr trade offers. I wonder why. Maybe because Deshaun Watson doesn't want to go over there to the Raiders? That could be the reason. John Tortorella reportedly wants out of Columbus.
Wow.
Well, now we have our answers, ladies and gentlemen. NFL rumors and news. Las Vegas Raiders should commit to Marcus Mariota and trade Derek Carr in 2021. What do you think about that, Speedy?
Not off the year Carr had. He had a nice year. I know you said he struggled in the second half of the season at times, but he had a nice year considering that his receivers are not anything special. Darren Waller's nice, but That's really it that he's had. And the Raiders need so much on defense.
Someone should create a super team to beat Tom Brady. How the hell are you going to create a super team with 56 players on a team? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, unless you add Deshaun Watson to a New York Jet team and add a bunch of big-time superstars, that could happen.
Yeah, that's still going to take a lot.
Yeah, right. Tom Brady threw the Lombardi Trophy from one boat to another. Well, I didn't see the parade, and I don't bother to see the parade, so why do I care?
It's funny. I actually, when I was looking on our network's Twitter account, our guest that we had on Monday from the Senators podcast actually tweeted something. Has Errol seen the video of Tom Brady for tossing it?
No.
So I guess that answers that question.
No, I have no interest. Why the New England Patriots should look to acquire J.J. Watt in 2021? Well, I mean, everybody's going to look to acquire J.J. Watt. I mean, he adds pressure. You need a pass rush in the playoffs, as you saw with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So there'll be a lot of teams, a long laundry list of teams interested in J.J. Watt.
I think most likely it'll either be the Packers because he went to Wisconsin guy, or play with his brother in Pittsburgh.
Could Russell Wilson be traded? No. That's all I'm going to say about that. NBA rumors and news, the Golden State Warriors looking like a completely different team. I don't know what you're seeing because Steph Curry is one-dimensional, ladies and gentlemen, just like I've said for years that Draymond Green is. So I think Draymond Green is the best two-way player, the best all-around player on that team. I'm not going to argue that because he won Defensive Player of the Year, and he's a decent offensive player. Not
yeah,
good.
I was going to say, the only thing he really doesn't do well is shoot. He passes well, and he's, as we know, one of the better defenders in the league.
Mm-hmm. There's no need to hit a panic button for Kemba Walker quite yet. I would agree. Kemba Walker, I still think is a great player. I think because of coming back from an injury like that, a surgery like that in the offseason, and not really having a preseason, it is going to affect his game. So give Kemba a little bit of time. And Kemba, we trust. How Jimmy Butler can keep improving Miami Heat in 2020 and 2021 NBA season. I'm not going to really read this because, honestly, Jimmy Butler has already created a very well-liked team over there in Miami, and a team that went all the way to the finals last year against the Lakers. So how could they improve any better than that?
And even so, I think the slow start is mainly just fatigue because it was a short offseason, too.
MLB rumors and news. Jake Arrieta, James Paxton, interest in Mets after Trevor Bauer pursuit. Well, Jake Arrieta, old. James Paxton, old. I mean, James Paxton would probably fit the best. I wouldn't bet on Jake Arrieta.
I don't want Jake Arrieta. I've heard these rumors the last 2 weeks. I don't want anything. I didn't really want him when the Mets were rumored to get him a couple of years ago, too. I didn't want him then either. Paxton, I wouldn't mind just to have another lefty.
A's reunite with former All-Star Jed Lowry. Oh, you remember that guy, don't you?
Oh, Mets legend.
Yes. Who didn't play one game in 2 years with that big contract.
Brody Van Wagenen, big prize.
NHL rumors and news. Patrick Laine. We've moved on from benching. Well, I don't know if you heard this. The whole benching thing with Patrick Laine. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, Tortorella being tough on his players, as we expected.
He wants out, ladies and gentlemen.
He did not play the entire third period. I think he played 14 minutes or something like that in the first couple periods, and then did not play the third, which was very strange. But also, Tortorella, what do you expect?
Capitals hire Mike Pecker as a two-time Selke winner as player development coach. That's a good move by the Capitals.
Mm-hmm. They pushed all the right buttons the last couple months or so with developing this team nicely.
And final story of the day, John Tavares not stressing slow start at even strength. I'm sure he's not, but I'll tell you this, I'm stressing just looking at the damn idiots. So
of course you are.
I can't stand the man. That's all I'm going to say about that. John Tavares is the biggest fool in NHL and New York Islanders history. From all the players and all the disgrace that the Islanders have had over the years, from the time of an owner buying a team that didn't have money to an ownership that had absolutely no idea what they were doing. And then Garth Snow taking over the team and completely self-destructing. Did very well in the drafts, didn't do anything in free agency, and we still have a consolation prize still on the team in Andrew Ladd. So thank you to Garth Snow.
All right, question before we end this. Who do you hate more, John Tavares or Jamal Adams?
I I hate them equally.
Oh, okay.
I hate them equally. I don't like them both. They're both idiots, okay? I can't stand them. But all in all, both two guys are out, and they're never coming back. So that would be a Pacific cheer for me. And as far as Tom Brady throwing his Lombardi trophy over and over again from boat to boat, maybe he should shove it where the sun doesn't shine.
Well, the sun's shining there.
It's shining over there, that's for sure, especially with the trophy and the championships that he's won. Why not? And those bright rings. I can't wait to see this sensational ring that he is going to have. I mean, the rings are getting bigger and bigger. The diamonds are getting blingier and blingier. I mean, what else is new? In Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Florida, you have the Lightning winning a Stanley Cup. Now you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You had the Tampa Bay Rays going all the way to the MLB championship. I mean, the World Series. What else is new? What are we going to see more
so far,
with Tampa?
So far,
Tampa sports, they're becoming the next Boston Red Sox. Boston. Okay, I'm so terrible at this argument right here, but whatever.
So far, every pandemic pro sports championship is either Tampa or LA so far.
And then you have the Boston Red Sox, who have been a winning franchise in all sports for a very long time. They even, if you look at it, they have baseball, they have hockey, they have basketball, and of course, they have had the NFL. So we all know where Boston sports are, but they're going downhill. They're going downhill.
Bay Area sports have had a nice track record too, with the Warriors, with the Giants winning the 3 World Series too, the 49ers in the Super Bowl a bunch of times, the Sharks were in the Stanley Cup a couple times. So.
Let's talk about New York sports. That's what I say. I mean,
don't worry,
seriously.
we're still not as bad as Detroit right now.
Well, I don't know about that. We have New York sports. The last time we've seen a championship was 2011. Mm-hmm. I mean, we haven't seen a championship forever. So it's just been horrible. And that's why we're here in New York, and that's why we talk sports. So I'm happy to be here to entertain all you New York fans, because New York sports has been absolutely horrendous. Now, before we get our guests, at 6:30, we'll be talking to the creator of Canadian National Best Ball. Is it Best Ball? Mm-hmm. Best Ball Champions League, Will Harris. And at 7:15, we will be talking to the host of Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones. So that will be a very interesting interview, to say the least. And by the way, if you guys are fans of Jillian, our social media, beautiful social media manager, Jillian's podcast is called Listen to the Multiverse Cast, hosted by Amanda Jones and WWSRN's own Jillian Cohen, available now on Anchor and Spotify. So yes, Jillian is doing her own show. So definitely stay tuned. Check out our show. Very, very interesting. I did listen to our first episode. So 17 minutes of her first episode. So Jillian is a very kind and collective person, and I think she has definitely a personality to her. Anyways, this whole Tom Brady, Joe Montana situation. I know this. I've been speaking about this for a very, very long time. Now, over the years, I have always picked Peyton Manning over Tom Brady. And the reason why, because of what Peyton Manning did in the regular season, and really the transition and really of the quarterback, the smart quarterback, the play calling quarterback, the audible play calling quarterback that could call his plays at the line of scrimmage. Peyton Manning changed the sport. He really did. And he brought in a different style of leader, coming not only from the coach, but for the quarterback. And we've seen this over years and years and years. A lot of the quarterbacks are the captains of the teams, but there was something about Peyton Manning that drove you to love him. His personality, his pizzazz, not only on Saturday Night Live, but on the field. I mean, the guy just had the it factor. Tom Brady was more of a collective type of person. Now, he's a champion. He's won 7 titles out of 10 tries. We all know what he has done. He's had one of the best quarterback seasons in 2007. Oh, and by the way, went undefeated all the way to the Super Bowl and lost against the Giants. I had to add that one. But, there was a lot of things that we've seen Tom Brady do that, sometimes you think he's not human. You really, it's an amazing story from an amazing athlete. But when I have heard over and over again on different radio shows, including ours, saying that Tom Brady is the greatest athlete of all time, I got to step in and I got to say, what the hell are you talking about? Tom Brady wasn't looked at when he came to the NFL as an athlete. Now, has he transitioned his body and his game to be an athletic player? Absolutely. Tom Brady had definitely transitioned his body from what he was, a tall, lengthy, skinny, scrawny, not fast, no good arm, all the crap that we've heard about him. Okay? Tom Brady changed that, but he changed it with his brains, mentally. He changed the game mentally as an athlete, because what he did, being drafted in such a late rounds, in the 6th round, and everybody looked at Tom Brady as a guy that was never going to amount to anything, never going to be a starting quarterback in the league. And he played for Michigan and lost his starting job his senior year and then got it back and won a ball game. Okay. The whole story of Tom Brady, it's really a great story. It really is. But when people compare him to be the greatest athlete for Michael Jordan, when you try to compare him to Wayne Gretzky, when you try to compare him to Serena Williams or Tiger Woods, let's be honest, these guys are more athletic than Tom Brady. They were, and they still are. Okay, even Tiger Woods could probably run a 40-yard lap more faster than Tom Brady can.
Assuming he doesn't hurt his back.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay, and that's not even my argument. When people argue that Tom Brady is greater and better than Joe Montana, here is my argument to that. Okay. Yes, Tom Brady won when he went to another team. His first year going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he won a title. He did. And he went all the way to Tampa and was the first quarterback and Tampa was the first team to win a Super Bowl at home. Okay. It's an incredible feat. And of course, Tom Brady's name is stamped to it with everything else. Okay, 7 championships when he's won more championships than any other team in NFL history except the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, that's an incredible story, an incredible feat. But here's the thing. Joe Montana went to Kansas City, and he took a Kansas City Chief that had no business whatsoever to an AFC title game. Okay, let's go look at the roster. Okay, Speedy. So let's bring up names that Joe Montana played with in Kansas City. Are you guys ready for this roster? Here we go. Go ahead, Speedy. Spit it out.
So his best player on offense was an offensive lineman in Will Shields, who we know is a Hall of Famer, and that was his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
Then, other way around, past his prime, Marcus Allen, 33 years old.
He was done. Go ahead.
Okay. The only other guy on the offense I heard of was Dave Sott, another offensive lineman. I never heard of either of the 2 receivers, J.J. Burden, Willie Davis.
Mm-hmm. This is a great roster, by the way. How about defense? Give me some defensive players that really stand out.
So there's 3 defensive players that stood out on this roster. Actually, 4. Neil Smith, a defensive end who was over 100 sacks in his career.
Mhm.
Derek Thomas, one of the best outside rushing linebackers of all time.
Mhm.
Albert Lewis, very good corner. Kevin Ross, a very good defensive back in his career, but also past his prime. Both those guys, 33 and 31 years old at that time.
Mhm.
And the rest of the defense I never heard of either.
Okay, so you're looking at the team. You probably have about 6 or 7 guys out of the 53 players on that team that you heard of. Now let's go look at Tom Brady's roster, okay? Let's go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. You have Tom Brady. You have Evans, Mike Evans, who has been a top 10 wide receiver in the league.
Yep.
You have Antonio Brown, who's been one of the most electrifying wide receivers in the NFL for almost 10 years. Who else do we have, Speedy? Oh, I'm sorry, Gronkowski. Yes, he's past his prime, but he's Gronkowski. Who else? Give us some
Cameron
names.
Brate.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Nice young tight end who would start on any other team.
Mm-hmm. Who else?
You got Leonard Fournette, nice young running back.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Godwin, nice young receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe cracking the top 10 himself.
Mm-hmm.
Nice young offensive line. Granted, some guys overperforming in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Front 7 that's nice on defense. Secondary that was very underrated in the playoffs. Carlton Davis, Mike Edwards, Antoine Winfield, who if maybe he doesn't get hurt, is rookie of the year. You're looking at that is a nice young team they have.
So let me ask you a question. Now let's go back into the argument. Joe Montana, Tom Brady. Now I saw the whole ESPN thing. The 21 years that he played. They compared his first 7 years to Peyton Manning's, and then they compared his middle 7 years to Drew Brees, and then all of a sudden to Joe Montana. Okay, or Aaron Rodgers, one of those guys, but Joe Montana last. Okay, Joe Montana had 4 championships. 4 championships. Never lost in a Super Bowl. Never. Now, when we compare and contrast LeBron James to Michael Jordan, could we ever compare LeBron James to Michael Jordan? Why not? Nope. Why?
Because Michael Jordan had that killer instinct that never lost in the finals.
Okay, and he never went to a Game 7.
Never went to a Game 7, beat a lot of, how many 60-win teams he beat? Like, it's insane.
So, again, going back to Tom Brady and Joe Montana. Now, Joe Montana played in a time where it was a defensive-minded game. You can actually rip on wide receivers in the open field. You can actually trip a running back. Oh, by the way, you can actually tackle a quarterback in those times. Now you look at the game and the transition of the game, it's become an offensive game where it all bodes well for the quarterback, the wide receiver. Look at the penalties that happened in the first and the second quarter in the Super Bowl this past year. And if that happened in the Super Bowl, I don't know, in the 80s and early 90s, there wouldn't have been any calls. Those calls would have been obsolete. You had guys like a lot running his head and driving his head in people's abdomens, trying to kill people. I mean, I'm serious. Or trying to drop bombs on people, or what do they call it? Drop kick or tomahawk players on the field. I mean, seriously, the game was completely different. Now, compare and contrasting those times to these times, you really can't compare those times to these times. But to say that Tom Brady is the lone guy, the lone superstar quarterback that is the greatest GOAT, or greatest quarterback of all time, you can argue that he is now. You can argue. Those 7 titles out of 10, there's nothing to argue about that. That is a fantastic feat. Championships don't always prove the doubt and thought on who the player and who the greatest player of all time is. It isn't. Michael Jordan has 6 championships. That's not why he's the greatest player of all time. Michael Jordan was the greatest player of all time because of what he did on the court, the killer instinct, who he was as a player on a basketball court. Wayne Gretzky, the great one. I mean, look at the name. Think about it. Wayne Gretzky, his first 3 seasons, had 100 or more points in his first 3 seasons. And he had one of the greatest seasons in NHL history. I think he had like 78 or 80 goals, okay? Those are stories. Those are comparison. Those are arguments, okay? Now, I understand, and we're going to get Carl on in just 1 second. Get him over there. Hold him on for 1 second. You could put him on, but we're not going to. I want to finish up right here. Press one, Speedy, because we need him to. Hold on. I'm trying to finish up this, but okay. We got Carl on. Hold on 1 second, Carl. But I'm looking at the big picture right now, and you can argue whatever you want to argue. If you don't like my take about Tom Brady, I'm not saying Tom Brady, you can't argue he's the greatest quarterback of all time. It's argumental. But for Joe Montana, for anybody to say that Joe Montana is still not the greatest quarterback of all time, being that he was undefeated in the Super Bowl, and yes, he played with Jerry Rice. Yes, he played with those great offensive lines and the great defenses, and there was no trade. I'm sorry.
There was a salary cap, but it wasn't as big back then.
Yeah, it was. Pretty much San Francisco could get whatever they want, and beyond. And they had one of the greatest coaches of all time. There's no question. You can argue and contrast whatever you want to do when you're trying to compare these two guys. But Joe Montana did what he did what Tom Brady did in Kansas City with a worse team, a terrible team. They weren't the best team in the AFC. They snuck into the playoffs. And if they did get to the Super Bowl and they did win a Super Bowl, that would have been one of the most unbelievable championship wins we've ever seen a player have. Mm-hmm. All right, put Carl on. Carl, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Errol? How you doing, man? First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for giving us this show and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You do an incredible job of leading us into the right direction. So I thank you and appreciate you for all that you do for the network. So thank you.
Well, I thank you guys. The Hit List is one of the best shows on our network. You give us so many good drama arguments and yelling and argumental thoughts with Falco and all the different people that you have on your show. It's incredible what you do. And I love the lead that you have. And I can't wait until your wife's new show airing on our network tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in my quick thoughts real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time, but I was just listening to you talk about this whole Tom Brady being the GOAT and Joe Montana. I think it's with layers, and I think a lot of times when we're looking at the Super Bowl championships come into factor, but that is a team award, and I have this debate all the time with people when we try to do the individualism versus the team accolade. Yes, they're going to rank the Super Bowl record, but just keep in mind too, and I said this on Sunday, is the Bucs were irrelevant. And I think the Bucs, before they acquired Tom Brady, and regardless of who they had on their team, they were completely irrelevant. No one was talking about the Bucs being a contender nowhere near the Super Bowl. And here comes Tom Brady, and then they make it to the Super Bowl and win it. So to me, that's completely impressive. It's like the LeBron factor. When LeBron switches teams, your team automatically goes to the finals and they become a contender. So for us to sit here and try to say, like, again, I can't take away anything from Joe Montana, what he accomplished. I never had the opportunity to watch Joe Montana because I was too young. But just being able to see Tom Brady do this for basically since I was in high school to now, it's incredible. And the fact that, again, you took a team that was basically no one was even talking about at all to the Super Bowl and they win it. How can you not be considered the greatest? That's just me. I don't know. I find that to be hard for us not to accept that.
Well, again, some people can argue that, and I have no problems for people arguing that take if they think Tom Brady is the greatest. I did watch Michael Jordan play. I did watch Joe Montana play in the top of their careers, in the prime of their careers, and I was a young guy. Yes, and I was very young when Joe Montana was a dominant force in the NFL. He came into the league in 1978, 1977, and he really blew the NFL right off from the bat from Notre Dame. And he wasn't even, I don't even think Joe Montana was a first-round draft pick.
No, he was second.
He was a second-round draft pick. And Tom Brady, too. He was a sixth-round draft pick. And I love the story behind Tom Brady. And when Tom Brady, that story and that movie comes out, I think what I'm hearing is Mark Wahlberg is going to play Tom Brady, which is an interesting feat, to say the least.
Not surprising.
Yeah, well, he's a Boston guy. But to me, when you argue the points from Joe Montana and Tom Brady, it's like it's like arguing from hot and cold, okay? Because to me, when you look at the game in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 80s, and even the early 90s and mid-90s, it was a different sport. It was a different played game. And you can actually pull on wide receivers. You can actually not even get any calls during the game. I mean, I watched a Super Bowl with the Giants in 1989 with that Giant team. There were no call. I think there was one call the whole game. One call the whole game. And it was like in this football game, the guy would have been thrown out of the game. I think the guy put an elbow in the guy's back of his neck or something. I mean, the game was completely different. It was completely different. So I understand what you're saying. And yes, they were irrelevant without Tom Brady. They really was. They really were. But here's the thing. Look at the team. Even without Tom Brady, and they added a lot of pieces to that team, and they did have OJ. They had OJ Howard in the beginning of the season before he got hurt. Could you imagine that team with Gronkowski 100% healthy, OJ Howard, and then everybody else, and then obviously the other tight end, Brady? I mean, that team is stacked with players. And yes, Jameis Winston is not a good quarterback. We all know Jameis Winston stinks. I'm a Florida State fan. I said he stunk before he came into the league, and he was the number one pick. And I also said Marcus Mariota was going to be terrible too, because he was a mobile quarterback, and that's it. But I will say this. You could have put Matthew Stafford on that team. You could have put Russell Wilson on that team. You could have put even, I wouldn't say Lamar Jackson because he hasn't proved that he can win.
Right.
Drew Brees. You could have put any winning quarterback on that team. I think they would have went to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they would have won, so I can't say that they won. But it wasn't Tom Brady. He wasn't the only reason why they won. It was that defense. It was that running game. And I told you this, and I've told everybody this. What wins championships? The running game and the defense. Every single time we've seen great quarterbacks completely get demolished. Look at Peyton Manning in New York. Remember that game? At Seattle's defense in the running game with Marshawn Lynch? They didn't stand a chance.
And the special teams got a return touchdown.
They didn't stand a chance. Okay, so, and then that was arguably the greatest offense of all time. So, again, I understand what you're saying. Tom Brady has done so many amazing things, and I will not take that away from him. I will never take it away from Tom Brady, the success that he has had as a champion. But like you just said, it takes more than one player to win a championship. It now takes 56, not 53, 56 players to win a championship, and a good coach. And Bill Belichick, and by the way, somebody, Mark Kelly on Monday said something so outrageous on our show. And I will say this. He said that Bill Belichick is not the reason why Tom Brady won all those championships. That now he can come out. Now Tom Brady, it's all about Tom Brady. Bill Belichick would have never won those championships without Bill Belichick. What a crock of you-know-what. Okay? What a crock. And I'm not a Bill Belichick fan. I can't stand the man. He passed on the Jets.
You know what? I think that's a reach for him to say that that's the reason. But it goes to show a lot of people and a lot of the Tom Brady naysayers said that, he was a system quarterback and that he couldn't play out of the Bill Belichick system. And this year he did. So I think maybe his comment, he could have said, Tom Brady's not a system quarterback and he is a real deal. But I think they kind of both needed each other in that sense.
I agree with you, but guess what? Guess what system they played in the playoffs? They played the Patriots system. Practically every single thing that they did in the playoffs was the Patriot system. Short passes, screen passes with the running back, run the ball up the gut, use the running backs on the outside. That's what they did. It was the Patriot way. It really transitioned when we heard Bruce Arians and Tom Brady weren't getting along. That's what we heard. And then we saw the game completely change. It transitioned into the Patriot way. So again, Tom Brady, I'm not saying Tom Brady's a system player. I don't think he is. I think Tom Brady knows how to win. He has a knack to win. But to say that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time when you see a guy that's never lost in a Super Bowl, never. And he beat two of the top defenses in NFL history. We're talking about when you look at the top 5 defenses of all time, the 2 teams that he beat out of the 4 were 2 of the top best, no way beating type of defense. And they went all the way and they not only beat him, they killed him. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And Joe Montana, he had a fantastic team and nobody's going to take that away. He did. And Tom Brady has had less of talent. He did. But it's still fantastic.
Again, thank you, Errol. I'm not going to keep you guys, but thank you for having me on the show. And everyone out there, please support the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Make sure you download the app and check out all our content on there. It's great stuff.
I will say this. The Hit List is one of our best shows. Carl leads a great show, a panel of great talent. And it's just funny. I mean,
I love it, Carl.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
You guys keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep listening to the show.
Thank you, Carl. He's unbelievable. It really is. I love his show.
I do too.
And
it's awesome.
It is. It's really, really good. It's funny. And the different banter's back. And Carl gets so angry, especially when you go after the Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
He gets so angry. And by the way, I am a huge Kemba Walker fan. Okay? Huge. I hated the fact that he went to the Celtics. Hated the fact. I got so angry when I heard Kemba Walker was going to the Celtics. But I still root him on. I still think that he's going to get back into order, and the Celtics are going to be a team to be reckoned with, especially in the playoffs. And they will make the playoffs, that's for sure. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking to the creator of the Canadian National Best Ball Champion League, Will Harris, here on Below the Mic.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Cold Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com, or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
smack you around, Speedy. As you guys know, this is Below the Mic. I'm your host, Errol. Errol, wow. I said Errol, wow. I lost my name. I forgot my name. Errol Marks. And my co-host, Tidy Whitey Man himself, Mr. Speedy.
Yeah, you remember that? No problem.
Love it. Oh, you could call us at 631-500-0548. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN or Android Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Wow. Carl's great, man.
Yes,
he really is. He's got a very unique monotone voice. He really does. Very interesting. But, well, I'm happy to get this guest on. I'm sorry we're 9 minutes late, but we're going to get him on for 9 minutes longer. We are now talking to the creator of Canadian National Best Ball Champion League, Will Harris. What's going on, Will?
Hey, guys. Great to be on. Thanks so much for having me. And, yeah, no problem running late. You guys are having a great talk there about Tom Brady and the Super Bowl that just happened. So happy to be here and looking forward to talking with you guys.
How are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
Oh, dude, I've got a 3-year-old, and we've been essentially in lockdown since March of last year.
Wow.
With both parents working from home, it's a little bit tense and stressful, but a lot of good things have came about it. And one of those things being the Canadian National Best Ball Champions League and a couple other initiatives that I've started too. So we're surviving, man. We're surviving.
Well, by the way, how old is your daughter?
She's 3.
Wow. I mean, I definitely have to. And what part of Canada are you from?
So we're in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Have you been up here before?
I've been all over Canada. I was a hockey player, so I've been
cool.
all over Canada, from Edmonton to Calgary to Toronto to Montreal to Quebec, all over the place. It's beautiful over there. I love Canada, and that's one of the places that whenever I have the opportunity to retire, that's a place that I would love to retire. It's beautiful over there. Absolutely beautiful. So,
well, thanks, man.
Anyways, so tell us a little bit about your organization and what you do. How did it start? What was the thought behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. It's very much related to COVID. So pre-COVID times, I would say that I felt kind of alone as a Canadian fantasy football player. I like to think of myself as somebody that takes it pretty seriously, a high stakes player. And I kid you not, all of my leagues that I were in, I was playing with Americans down the Eastern Seaboard, all over the US. And I just thought that, hey, in Canada, it was just a bunch of other people that didn't take it too seriously, that did some office leagues and stuff like that. So I gravitated towards Twitter and the community there and talking with people all over the US playing high stakes fantasy football. And it wasn't until COVID hit that the folks at True North Fantasy Football started a Twitter group for Canadian fantasy footballers. And this thing, guys, just absolutely snowballed so quickly. It got to so Twitter actually has a cap of the amount of people that you can have in the group, and it filled up. And like we're talking on a daily basis, we were, we're talking thousands of messages. Like wow. Yeah, and this is when COVID first kicked off, so everybody was at home, probably slacking from work, talking fantasy football, getting ready for rookie drafts in Dynasty. And then things just started to really snowball. First, for me, it was the Canadian National Best Ball Champions League. I said, hey, you know what? There is no kind of national championship in Canada. What do you guys think about putting something together? And the first conference filled up really quickly. And I'm just like, okay, we're on to something here. And then that quickly snowballed into a full league. And, we're looking for next season to be over 100 teams. And it all came from a Twitter group of, and all of these different content creators and serious fantasy football players that, dude, this time last year, I didn't know existed.
So you bring up Canadian with fantasy football in Canada, the way it's consumed. How about overall with NFL football, just in general, between content, between fans, fanmanship? Is it a geographic fanmanship still, like it is in the U.S.? Is it more player based? Like, is it random? You're a Steelers fan, living in the Eastern time zone.
How are you a Steelers fan?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So what is it like? The whole consumption.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a great question. I really like that and thought about it a lot today as I was getting ready for the show. So I think that there's a couple different pathos, as you will, to how you become an NFL fan in Canada. I think that geography does play a role. Like in Eastern Canada, you gravitate more towards Eastern teams. But for me, Pittsburgh's only 4 hours from my door, right? Like it's pretty damn close. Pittsburgh's closer to me than what Philly is to Pittsburgh. To put it in perspective. So, and then you've got all of those like Cincinnati and Cleveland that are relatively close. Buffalo is about 45 minutes away. So geography does play a role, but I really believe that beyond that, it's who your parents cheered for. Unfortunately, like if your parents there's a lot of like generational fans in Canada, like the Dolphins have a ton of fans in Canada because of the Marino years, and that's who their parents cheered for. So I think that there's a lot of different answers. I think that it is geography based, but more so it's about, hey, who did your parents cheer for? And that a lot of the times is what makes you a fan. For me, it's a little bit of a different story. I'm pretty new to football. I mean, I've been a fan for, let's call it 10 years. They actually played a bunch of games up here in Canada. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. The Bills played, I think it was 4 or 5 games. And one year for my birthday, I got tickets to go to a Bills game. And, the Bills are literally just across the water from Toronto. And what blew my absolute mind, first NFL game all time, it was against the Steelers. And the Steelers fans were like 80% of the stadium and just, full of ruckus and having a great time. And I'm like, I love this. I love this experience. Screw cheering for hockey. I'm an NFL fan now. And that's how I became a Steeler. So I think that there's a lot of different stories. And talking with the Canadian community and the NFL fans here, it is certainly like geography based. I would say that Western Canada skews heavier in terms of NFL fandom, at least from what I've been experiencing. Like it seems to be much more Western based. And that also holds true to where football is strongest too. For Canadians, it's Western Canada and Quebec actually are the two kind of strongholds for grassroots football in Canada.
We are talking to the creator of the Canadian National Best Ball Champions League, Will Harris. Will, what were your thoughts to the Super Bowl? Do you think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game? And if you do, why?
Yeah, absolutely, Errol. I think that a lot of the points that you had brought up are very relevant. I mean, being relatively new to football, I can confidently say that Tom Brady's the greatest that I've ever seen play and the greatest of my generation. To go back to Joe Montana, you know what? I wasn't privy to that. I wasn't watching football then, but for what Tom Brady has done in his career and being able to continue to bring the level of intensity and competition that he has, he brought from Foxborough, he brought that into Tampa, he instilled that in that team. And I'm not saying that Tom Brady won them that Super Bowl, but he certainly was a big piece and a reason why that team was galvanized and set for a championship. Like coming into the playoffs, I didn't know what to expect from Tampa until that first round. And I'm like, this is a team that is super gritty and will do whatever it takes to win. Just like Tom Brady and those Patriots teams, we saw a different Tampa team win on offense every single week, right? Like their defense was tenacious throughout, but they found a way to score every single week against those tough defenses that they were up against. And that to me, Tom Brady, is he the only reason why they won? No, of course not. Their defense was tremendous. People also don't talk about their O-line play as well. Like also Gronk was used as an offensive lineman the entire playoffs until the Super Bowl, right? Like he was in the trenches every single playoff game. And it wasn't until that last game that he was really used as a receiver. People overlook that because, winning in the trenches on that O-line might not be the sexiest thing to talk about, but it certainly played a big, big role. And you look at the pieces that Brady kind of brought in that you knew were to protect him, right? Like we know what Gronk can do in the blocking game. And he was that was a big reason why he was brought in. And then we saw the kind of the crazy rotation at running back all season long. And I think a lot of that had to do about protecting Tom Brady. So I can confidently say that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of my generation. Absolutely.
So from a great offensive line to a banged up offensive line, the Chiefs missing 2 tackles in the Super Bowl, and you could definitely see Mahomes was running for his life. It was the highest pressure rate in any Super Bowl, 52% that they got. So
Crazy.
Even that it was that much of a blowout, 31-9 final score, and it really looked like Tampa was in control of the game. What do you think the outcome would have been like if either one and or both of the tackles were in there? Do the Chiefs win with both tackles? Is it a close game? Do they still lose? What do you think?
Yeah, I want to rewind it a little bit to a Canadian boy that they are missing the entire season in Tardif. He's a Pro Bowl lineman that they didn't have all season. Having him and a healthy O-line in this game would have been a world of difference. I still think that the outcome Tampa would have won, but Mahomes ran for over 500 yards behind scrimmage, guys. Behind scrimmage. Like, that's absolutely insane. And what Mahomes was able to do under pressure, like, man, like, I bet you Kelsey is just sitting in a deep hole of regret and shame right now because of the opportunities that he missed. He just doesn't miss those opportunities usually, right? And then we saw with that Williams pass in the end zone that bounced off of his face. I think that it would be a different game, but to what we were talking about earlier, this Tampa team was on a mission, and their defense absolutely destroyed that O-line. The other thing too that, some people are talking about, but the PI calls that Kansas was kind of getting all season, they didn't get. They've been grabbing and holding all season long on wide receivers, and the refs called it. I thought they made the right calls every single time.
Well, I will say this, and they should have called it both ways. We saw Devin White a couple of times in the second quarter grabbing on to wide receivers and obviously the running backs when they used the running backs. And by the way, I don't know what happened to the running game of the Kansas City Chiefs. The whole thing with
what running game?
That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised he didn't use any of the running backs in the open field, maybe as a wide receiver, especially that Hill was getting dominated by either two or being trampled by 2 or 3 guys. Why didn't they use the wide receiver? They brought in Le'Veon Bell, who's very, very good in the passing game. Why didn't they use Le'Veon Bell? It made absolutely no sense why they brought him in when he was let go by the New York Jets. He wanted to go to Kansas City. He probably would have been better off playing for Tampa Bay. I mean, seriously.
Give Hilaire some credit, though. He did play well at times in that game.
Who did?
Hilaire.
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Hilaire.
Yeah, but they didn't use him enough.
He did. I agree with you. It was the only thing that was Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, the Fresh Prince of Hilaire, was the only thing that was working for them all game, right?
Mm-hmm. It was just, I don't know. The play, first of all, the play calling by Andy Reid didn't make any sense. It really didn't. And I don't want to hear about Eric Bieniemy, because Eric Bieniemy right now he's going to be a free agent. And I said this, Doug Peterson is available. Okay. And Doug Peterson is Andy Reid's best friend. They're his disciple. And Eric, and it might not be such a bad thought to look at Eric Bieniemy and say that he interviewed for 16 jobs and he didn't get one of them. This is one of the best offensive minds in the NFL right now, and everybody thought was the number one coach available this offseason, and he interviewed for almost 7 jobs and still didn't land a job. So what does that tell you about Eric Bieniemy? One, he doesn't interview very well. And number 2, maybe teams don't really think he's as good as everybody thinks he is. Maybe they think because if it's Andy Reid's offense, maybe because it's Andy Reid's play calling, they don't think Eric Bieniemy might not be a very good coach moving forward in the NFL. And I think he'll get a job. But to me, 16 times you interview, 17 times you interview for a job in 3 years, and you don't get one of them. To me, that's a little scary moving forward for any team to take on Eric Bieniemy. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have a ton. I mean, it is kind of a regular that, he's interviewed for 16 teams. And, the play calling in that Super Bowl was bad. Is that on Bieniemy? I don't know that locker room. I don't know that team well enough to really make an accurate call on that.
I can. The answer is do not hire Eric Bieniemy, because I know the Jets interviewed for him. And everybody, I was one of the guys that said, I want Eric Bieniemy. But then when I'm hearing some of the stories that I've heard and some of the executives saying that the guy just doesn't interview very, very well, or he doesn't give the right answers to the questions, that would scare you as an owner of a team, as a GM of a team, or anything, any position that you're looking at when you're trying to fill in a coach job moving forward as a Super Bowl contender. So I think it's a little scary. As you guys know, we are talking to the creator of the Canadian National Best Ball Champions League, Will Harris.
So moving on to your Steelers, they had a very strange season. They were the last undefeated team left. It looked like they were rolling along, and then all of a sudden they lose to Washington, which annoyed me as a Giants fan because the Giants make the playoffs if Washington loses that game. But, I mean, it really went downhill after that. The offensive skill players, which played well in the beginning of the season, started to fall apart. And then the Steelers had that big dud in the playoffs against the Browns. So what was your impression of that kind of season? Which Steelers team do you think is the more accurate depiction of who they really are? What do you think they should do in the offseason?
Yeah, great question, and one that I have had way too much time to ponder because I was pretty hopeful as a Steelers fan. We saw what the defense did last year. We saw what an offense without Big Ben did. So I thought, okay, healthy Big Ben, this defense is only going to continue to get better. We should experience, I thought at the start of the season, a Super Bowl run. I think the kind of perception and the reality of the Steelers, there's two extremes. People said they're the worst 11-0 team that we've ever seen in the NFL. And others were thinking, Steeler diehards was saying, you know what, we're going all the way to the Super Bowl with this team. I think that the truth was somewhere in the middle the entire time. As the season started to unfold for the Steelers, there were some serious issues. There were some serious issues in the run game. There was also just in terms of the average depth of target that we were seeing from Big Ben. There were some big issues that were revealing themselves on offense. I also, I think that people understated the loss of Bud Dupree to that defense as well. I think that, TJ Watt, absolutely tremendous. I think that he was robbed of Defensive Player of the Year. That's nothing against Aaron Donald. Watt just had a transcendent season this year and should have been recognized for it, not to take anything away from Aaron Donald. But you watch when that Steelers losing streak started, it was when Bud Dupree went down. And I mean, not that Bud Dupree is going to turn the world on his head when he signs as a free agent somewhere else, but he was able to do a lot because of what TJ Watt was doing. And them working in tandem allowed for that defense to put a ton of pressure on opposing teams. And when that defense wasn't able to apply that pressure and the defense wasn't able to win them games because the offense was, for all intents and purposes, was a shadow of itself of what it was when, AB and Lev Bell were there, you had some really, really big problems. So the effect on the offensive side of the ball, I saw these issues way before that kind of collapse against Washington. But when I remember being on my show, the Jet Sweep show, and I had a question from a listener saying, do you think the Steelers are going to go, they're going to go undefeated this season? And it was before that Washington game. I said, well, they got to get by Washington first, right? That defense, like that Washington defense is for real. They're set, we know what their front seven is all about, but their secondary is also lights out and pretty scary to play against, especially when your quarterback can't chuck it downfield anymore. So I wasn't really surprised when we kind of fizzled out on the end of the season. I will say though, and again, it's about meeting in the middle. That Steelers team wasn't as bad as everybody said they were, and they weren't as good as everybody said they were. I was absolutely blown away that they lost to the Browns. I have got no answers for that. I'm still kind of thinking about it. They let the Browns play their game, and you can't let any team do that. I think that there was a false sense of confidence being at home at Heinz Field. We know how Big Ben plays at home, and I don't think that they took the Browns seriously. You can't in the NFL. On any given Sunday, anything can happen, and look what happened. The Browns won a playoff game in Pittsburgh. I never would have expected that to happen. I don't think that Cleveland is that great of a team, but they found a way to beat Pittsburgh. and they beat them handily. Like, that game wasn't even close. And I'm talking from the very beginning to the end. Pittsburgh was not in that game ever.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we let you go, I have one question to ask you, and one question, last question. Deshaun Watson, does he get traded, and where do you think he goes?
Great question. It seems to be that the Jets and Chicago are the two teams that are bandied about. You hear a little bit about San Francisco. I mean, I think about it more selfishly from a fantasy football perspective and what that could potentially mean. I don't know. I don't think that my take is that I don't think that anything happens until closer to the season. That Stafford deal sunk the market for Deshaun and what teams are willing to pay. And I don't think it's until close to training camp that we see him get moved. And when teams are either ready to pay the price, or the Texans are so scared that they're not going to get a return, or they're going to have to watch Deshaun sit out, that we're going to see a deal happen. There seems to be more murmurs for Wentz to go to Chicago than anything else. And the strongest rumors that I've heard is to New York, to the Jets in your guys' backyard, which I wouldn't hate.
No, I think I would say Carson Wentz, if he goes anywhere, he's going to Indianapolis. That's where I think he's on his way to. And Deshaun
Frank Reich.
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson, he has a better chance if he goes anywhere, he goes to the Jets, because if he goes to the Jets, Sam Darnold goes to the 49ers and they get what they want. So I think both teams get what they want. They both get young quarterbacks and Deshaun Watson. I don't think the Jets are any team is going to wait until the beginning of the season when they have to figure things out and where, how they're going to build their team in free agency. And by the way, they got the second pick in the draft. So I think it'll be more around the draft, where you're going to hear some stories coming out where Deshaun Watson is going. He will be traded. I will tell you that. He is absolutely going to get traded.
For sure.
Yes. I don't see him staying there. There is no way Houston, he's going to want to play over there in Houston. I see Cleveland posting up he's going to stay in Houston. He's not staying in Houston.
If he does, he's going to hold out.
Yeah, he's not staying in Houston. There is no way he's staying in Houston. What they're trying to do right now is they're telling him that we're not going to trade you because it's going to open up the spring of trade picks and stuff like that. That's all they're doing. They're trying to boost up whatever they can get for him. I don't think they're going to get more than whatever the Jets want to give him. Or the Chicago Bears. Well, the Chicago Bears are stupid, so they'll trade anything.
They were rumored apparently to trade a first-round pick
anything.
and LaQuan Smith in a Wentz deal.
But I don't believe Deshaun Watson wants to be traded to the Chicago Bears. I think it's either the Carolina Panthers, the 49ers, the Jets, or Miami. And Miami is not going to trade Tua, because if they trade Tua, there'll be an outcry of Tua fans that love him over there. He had the number 1 jersey in the NFL this year, sold jersey in the NFL. You think Miami is going to trade him knowing that the Miami fans are going to kill him? That's not going to happen. So
I will say this, Will. You were mentioning the fantasy implications of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson in Carolina would probably be a dream for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think they can afford to trade all the picks that they needed right now, because they need a lot on defense. Like I said, I think he's going to the 49ers. You think he's going to the Jets, and I think that's a little more likely. But from a fantasy value, with him and McCaffrey and all those receivers, that would be nice.
Anyways, Mr. Harris, tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at It's Harris Time, and also check out, if you're looking for fantasy football merchandise, www.Veridian Global. That's my company. We've got over 300 designs there. Some awesome kick-ass player designs from all your favorite teams. We've got league shirts. We've got championship shirts. And then some of the most well-known names in fantasy sports as well. We've got over 20 brands that we rep their merchandise there. So check us out at www.Veridian Global as well. And we've got a design that fits you.
Wow, look at you, man. You got a jersey, you got a shirt, you got a whole style, man. I you know what? I'll definitely go check out your website. I'll buy one. But you're going to have to buy one of ours. You're going to have to buy one of ours then. You know?
No problem.
Scratch for a scratch, okay? So
what is this, lottery tickets now?
Not a problem, guys. It was a blast to be on with you guys, and appreciate the invite and being able to talk with you guys.
Absolutely. We would love to get you on again. We would love to talk sports with you. Are you a hockey and basketball fan?
Not hockey, man. I like yourself. I played hockey my entire life, and just as I got older, in terms of from a fan perspective, it's just not the same as the NFL. I'm a dad, I'm busy. I don't have time to follow. I don't even know how many times a week they play. Football's pretty designated. You get maximum 3 different days of the week. Hockey, I can't keep up with that shit, man. And there's just a whole bunch. You play your entire life. You just kind of lose the edge. I love the Raptors. I think it's the most entertaining sport that you can go and watch here in Toronto. Obviously what we did last season, the whole city, the whole country got behind the Raps, and it was something to experience as a Canadian.
Absolutely, and had a great player who fled and went to the Clippers, and now he looks like he's going to be the MVP again. So there you go.
Well, you're definitely not going to get that experience with the Maple Leafs because they can't win a playoff series.
No, that's for sure. Thank God, Johnny Tavares.
And how can I be a hockey fan after watching them for 30 plus years, guys? It's absolutely painful.
Absolutely garbage. Anyways, thank you, Will, for joining us.
You're welcome. That was a pleasure, guys.
Oh, Will Harris, great guy. Really, really nice guy. Family man, great insight with the NFL, his thoughts with his company. And I think he had some good takes. He had a really good takes, and definitely understands the game of football. That's for damn sure. And he thinks, of what he's seen, that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback he's ever seen. I'm not going to argue that. You can't argue somebody that's only seen Tom Brady play. He never saw Joe Montana play, so you can't really argue that. And I don't want to hear you. I've seen clips of him. You could see clips all. You could see me wiping my ass. It doesn't mean that you know what my ass looks like when I'm wiping it, okay? Just because you saw clips of it. I mean, seriously. But it's crazy. It really is. But there's a lot of Tom Brady fans out there. There really is.
So, believe me, we know.
Yes, a lot of Tom Brady fans that aren't Tom Brady fans, but that are Tom Brady fans. If that makes sense.
You're always going to get player fans with any star player.
I don't. I'm not a star.
No. I'm not saying you. I'm saying just fans in general. You're always going to get bandwagon fans of players.
Why
You're gonna get
is
bandwagon
that?
fans of teams? That's the way sports always has been.
I can't stand it. I mean, when I was a kid, it was always about rooting for your team. And it didn't matter how bad your team was. You would root them on. You don't want to see the other team win. You don't want to see the Michael Jordans beat you, the Scottie Pippins, the Akeem Olajuwons, or the Tom Brady's, Joe Montanas. You wanted to see your team win. It didn't matter if you had Boomer Esiason or Browning Nagel as your quarterback. I mean, seriously, terrible quarterbacks for the New York Jets. But again, as a fan, you're a fan of your team. All of a sudden, fantasy football came out, fantasy sports came out, and now everybody's a fan of players. The Steph Curry syndrome, I call it. I mean, everybody thinks Steph Curry is a god. To me, he's one of the most overrated basketball players in the NBA.
My brother was
he's
like
one-dimensional.
That too. My brother was like that too. When he started playing basketball, Steph Curry was his guy. But then the last couple of years, he's kind of said, "All right, yeah, he's not as good as everyone was hyping up to be." He kind of came down to earth.
He's one-dimensional. That's what he is. As great as he is, and as great as that one dimension that he's good at one thing. I mean, Klay Thompson, he's a great defensive player. He's a great shooter. So he's good. He's a good two-dimensional player. And honestly, I've always thought Klay Thompson, when healthy, he was the best player on the team before, obviously, Kevin Durant went there.
Really?
Yes. Oh, wow. Absolutely. I've said that many, many times. I mean, Klay Thompson could have been all first defensive team on your all-world defensive team. To me, Steph Curry is one of the worst defensive players at his position.
Well, Steph Curry's a better passer and ball handler than Klay Thompson, though, too. Keep that in mind.
That's fine. But he's not a point guard, Klay Thompson. He's a shooting guard. He's a shooter. So, and to me, Steph Curry was a shooting guard when he came from Davidson, and then they moved him to the point guard position, aka Russell Westbrook, who was a shooting guard when he came from UCLA. So again, and trust me, I know my sports. You people make it seem like I don't know what I'm talking about. I know my sports. Okay, so you could take it and shove it up your ass. And all you people that think that I don't know what I'm talking about. And as far as I'm concerned, okay, with the Tom Brady syndrome that everybody has, and I don't know what it is. Maybe they're wearing Speedy's Tidy Whities or something.
They don't exist.
They do. They exist.
They do not exist.
SpongeBob, Scooby-Dooby types, and he signs them, go into Walmart, And by the way, he has a very special gift for all you fans.
No, I do not. Don't listen to him.
By the way, he farts when he's on the show, and it smells. It stinks.
I haven't farted when I've been on the show.
Yes, you have. And you don't wear any underwear.
Not today. I'm saying no. I'm talking about today. I haven't farted today.
No, not today. But when you do, it smells. It's a potent smell. Okay.
Most people when they fart have a potent smell.
Mine doesn't.
I know you're a very rare exception. You are part of the 1% where that's amazing. That doesn't happen.
It is crazy.
It is.
I fart a lot. I do.
That is extremely rare. Though.
I do. I fart in Speedy's face all the time, and he says I don't care because it doesn't smell. Right. So I could practically stick my ass in his face.
You're part of a 1% though.
Well, that's well. Again, I don't know what maybe I just eat clean stuff. No, I don't. I eat a lot of bad stuff, but I don't know what it is. I don't have a smelly fart. So if you want me to fart in your face, it might smell like roses if it does smell. Anyways, before we go to break, I do want to say that Derrick Rose going to the New York Knicks. A lot of people are saying that now that Derrick Rose is the New York Knicks, it's a must-win year. That's what everybody is saying, that the Knicks are going to be going after all-stars. There was a story coming out from the New York Post that the Knicks are going to be interested in going after two all-stars at the trade deadline. One of them, Bradley Beal. That could happen. And the other one, Speedy, do you know the other one?
No, I don't.
Take a guess.
Zach LaVine, because we've been hearing that.
Zach LaVine. Okay.
That's the one I don't want. So
there are two guys that the Knicks are going to be looking at the trade deadline, and Zach LaVine and Bradley Beal. Now, here's the problem. If you go after Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal is a fantastic player. He's one of the best players in the NBA at his position. I think he's the best.
He might be the best.
He's probably the best shooting guard in the NBA right now. All around, he's the best offensive shooting guard in the NBA. There's not a question. I think he has had 10 games of 40 or more points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic.
Like 7 of those were losses.
It's unbelievable. He's the only player in NBA history to do that. But anyways, looking back at Bradley Beal, you're going to have to give up a lot for Bradley Beal. And you're talking about you might have to trade either Obi Toppin or Emmanuel Quigley for somebody like Bradley Beal. Are Knick fans willing to trade Emmanuel Quigley? And you heard what Derrick Rose said about Emmanuel Quigley. He loves the kid. And Derrick Rose has only been there for a game? And he's telling people how smart the kid is, how quick he is at learning, and he wants to learn everything. He wants to gravitate and learn everything and sponge everything. When you hear a play like that, we haven't heard a Knick like that in I don't even remember the last time we've heard a Knick like that. You're hearing about a Knick. I mean, seriously, it's an incredible story, Emmanuel Quigley. People saying that he was a D+ pick at number 25. Right now, he's the leading vote getter as the Rookie of the Year.
I'll admit, I was skeptical at first, too.
I wasn't.
You liked him. I was a little skeptical of how well-rounded he's been, and he's been as well-rounded as it gets for the minutes he plays.
When you hear he's a 43% three-point shooter in the SEC, probably the hardest, second hardest division in college basketball, right behind the ACC.
Last year it was third, but in general,
usually it's the ACC and then the SEC in basketball. And in football, it's the SEC. And then
top dog, Big Ten after that.
Yes.
Right.
So we're looking, when you look at Emmanuel Quigley and what Emmanuel Quigley has done in only yesterday, he only played like 12, 13 minutes. I mean, the guy's only playing 17, 16 minutes a game. He's averaging 12 points a game. That's incredible. LaMelo Ball is averaging 26 to 27 minutes a game, and he's starting. Do you know how many points he's averaging right now? He's averaging 12. You talk about Wiseman playing on the great Golden State Warriors. Go look what he's doing right now on the Golden State Warriors, playing about 22, 23 minutes a game. He's not playing anywhere close as well as Emmanuel Quigley.
Yeah, he hasn't been the same since his injury. I think that really has hindered him. He missed 5 games, 6 games, something like that. He got off to that really hot start, and then all of a sudden he's kind of come down to earth a little bit. At the same time, the Warriors are still not using him the right ways either, though, because they're still trying to recreate the Splash Brothers. That's why Oubre's done well, and Steph Curry's, after a slow start, has been revitalized too offensively.
CJ DeSimone says the Knicks are trading Toppin or Quigley to get Beal if they do fire everyone. So I will say this. They're going to have to give up one of them because there's no way you're getting Bradley Beal if you're not getting one of the young studs the Knicks are going to get. And as of right now, it would probably be Emmanuel Quigley. It would probably be him because Toppin is their number one guy. And I do believe that they think that Toppin is the future of this team and this organization. So even though Emmanuel Quigley could be a star in this league, a superstar, some people say, you heard what Damian Lillard said about him. Damian Lillard came out and said that he is the best rookie he's played against this year.
Yeah, and
Damian Lillard said that.
Yeah, if they're going to trade Beal too, they're going to want to get. If they're going to get a young player back like that, they're going to probably want it in the backcourt, because a lot of the young players they had from last year's roster that almost made the playoffs, a lot of them are front court players. A lot of those draft picks have been, even the second round picks have been mostly those players, and even their first round pick this year, the kid from Israel, Avdia, he's more of a.
He's not really playing well.
He's played well at times, but he's more of a small forward, and then like bigger type, like smaller type power forward type.
Yeah, but a lot of people thought he was going to start off very, very strong with his shot, his ability to rebound. He hasn't played well. He really hasn't. From what we've seen, and we thought this team was going to be a lot better than they are. Russell Westbrook being there, and Bradley Beal, and then you have him. I mean, you have a three-headed monster, and this team is one of the worst teams in the NBA right now.
Yeah,
they're possibly going to get the number 1, number 2, number 3 pick. I mean, that's how bad they are. And Bradley Beal wants out of there. So I do believe Bradley Beal will be traded at the trade deadline. I just don't know where he's going to go. I mean, I was hearing some stories about the LA Lakers. The LA Lakers don't have enough. They don't have money to get him. So I can't see him going to LA. The Clippers, they don't have the money either. They just paid Paul George a significant amount of money. And Kawhi Leonard's getting like the whole team. I don't know. I mean, seriously, there's no way they're going to be able to afford him. But anyways, when we come back, we will be talking to the host of Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones, here on Below the Mic.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Speedy and Dave. Speedy has no underwear on. No underwear on. Speedy wears tidy whities and yeah. Speedy wears tidy whities and hair. He's got hair in his pants, that's for sure. Anyways, this is Below the Mic. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Tidy Whitey Man himself, Super Tidy Whitey Man himself, Speedy Petey. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can call us at 631-500-0548 is the number to call. You can also go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Wow. You know, you like that, Speedy? You like that track? I gave it a little bit of oomph.
Yeah, I am aware you gave us some
pizzazz.
oomph.
I mean, seriously.
Some inaccurate oomph. But
what do you mean inaccurate? What kind of underwear are you wearing right now?
I'm wearing Hanes underwear.
Tidy whities.
It is not
Hanes,
tidy whities. They're
tidy
not white. They are
whities.
blue.
They're tidy whities.
They are not
tight. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, he's lying to you. He's a liar.
They are blue. They are Hanes, and they are not tight. They are regular
liar. Anyways,
tightness. Whatever.
As you guys know, we are now talking to the host of the Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones. What's going on, LaQuan?
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me on, man. Amazing intro, by the way. The Tidy Whities was classic.
It's inaccurate.
It is not accurate. This guy actually, LaQuan, admitted sitting right next to me
that
I
was at my house.
He was commandoing it on our show.
LaQuan, don't listen to him. I was over the Thanksgiving break. I was at my family's house in Connecticut, and I couldn't get into the shower because my brothers were in. My brothers were in there.
So instead,
I had to set up the guests and do everything like that. And so I didn't have time. So I kept my pajamas on. It wasn't next to him. It was at my family's house.
Likely story.
Yes, don't let him twist it on you because he wasn't there.
Oh man.
Oh my God, Speedy Petey, the great Speedy Petey. Anyways, this is not about us. This is about you, LaQuan. So tell us, how are you and your family doing with this pandemic, and how is business going right now?
Man, we're doing fine. We're making it, through what we can do. I'm working still. Fortunately, I'm an essential worker, and my wife works in, the hospital. So she's obviously at risk with COVID going on. So, fingers crossed that everything goes smooth, and hopefully this vaccine clears things up, because I live in Jersey. There's not much to do. So hopefully they can open the bars back up like ASAP.
Shout out to your wife for all she does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't live in New Jersey, but I live in New York. So we're not too far apart. I got friends that live in Jersey. I go there all the time. And it's such a big state, man. It's got so many rural areas. There's nowhere to go. And then you hit like certain places and you're like, holy crap, I didn't even know this place exists.
Exactly. So, there's like 5 different versions of Jersey that I've seen.
It is. So tell us a little bit about the Real Deal Fantasy HQ.
I run basically a little fantasy football, company. I have 4 guys under me right now. They write articles. We got guys writing Dynasty. We got guys that are doing, videos. I got new guys coming in that are going to be doing basically DFS about basketball and football. So I got a lot going on under me. I run a YouTube page where I give fantasy advice. I do start 'em, sit 'em, waiver wire pickups, etc. Basically everything that covers around fantasy news and advice.
So fantasy this year was definitely very interesting with the strategy wise of this year, between the platoons of running backs, receivers, stuff like that, and also the kind of year where we had specifically though with the running backs. We saw McCaffrey go down, Saquon Barkley go down. There weren't a lot of running backs to pick from, and again with the teams platooning. So what was the strategy with that this year, and also in the future with these rookie running backs as well? What do you think the strategy is with that kind of position? It's not as deep as it normally is.
Yeah, I mean, it was very unfortunate to see studs like Saquon Barkley and CMC go down, but you always have to be ready. It could be week 1, it could be week 6. So you got to hit that waiver wire, get the next man up, or you just draft that handcuff. So it's kind of it's unfortunate that you spend the first round pick or the 101, for example, for CMC, and he goes down. You have to be, that guy to grab that handcuff for Mike Davis or et cetera for Saquon Barkley with Wayne Gallup, et cetera. So it really was kind of right there on the drop. All right, we got to run to the waiver wire to pick up the next guy. I mean, it's part of fantasy. Even some of the smaller guys you get in the 6th, 7th round, they're a little, popping off here and there, and then injury, you just have to pick up the next guy. That's really part of it. It's not really anything you can control. So I think, the strategy for this year with the rookies coming in, et cetera, if they're backing up stud running backs, I don't see why you don't take a shot on them as well.
As you guys know, we are talking to the host of the Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones. Now, LaQuan, New York sports, you're right over there. You're right over the bridge. You have the Giants. You have the Jets over there. They're more than likely not New York. They're New Jersey. But
the New Jersey Giants.
The New Jersey Giants and the New Jersey Jets. What were your thoughts of their season this year? Obviously, the Jets with the Adam Gase cuckoo eyes game, or the New York Giants Judge, I want to rip your head off, and I'm going to fire or beat up my offensive line coach. What was your thoughts of the New York football teams this year?
Horrible. to keep it real simple to the point, horrible, man. I want to start with the Jets. Adam Gase, I don't know how he was employed. He obviously had the nudes. I don't know what it was, man, but I just didn't understand how he maintained the job so long. And also, he beat my Rams. That was the double FU to my face. What are you doing? You didn't need to win that game. So that was just crazy to watch. They have such, great potential there with Denzel Mims. I like Rashad Perriman when he was at the Bucs, and then him coming over. I thought he could be a deep threat, and we saw flashes of that as well. But I really feel Adam Gase there, he was keeping, Denzel Mims is hurting his development. I definitely feel like, not James Crowder. Wow. I feel like Denzel Mims, though, he has the potential to be a breakout this year with the new coaching staff.
So your Rams made a big splash last week. Now, Errol thinks that they got robbed in the deal. They traded 2 first-round picks in golf for Stafford. I thought it was a pretty fair trade. I thought it was
You're
like
out
a
of your
slight
mind.
win. I thought it was like a slight win for the Lions, but I could understand why the Rams were doing it. So from your perspective as a Rams fan, what did you think of the trade? And also, what do you think it affects the fantasy values of both teams with your guys' receivers, which are very good in Woods and Kupp, and also the Lions, who they've had Galladay's a free agent, and they're probably not going to bring him back, but also guys like Hawkinson and Swift. What do you think the values will be like for those players?
Well, first off, my reaction to the trade, immediately, I was shocked. I was kind of like in denial because I didn't really think we could pull that trade off. But then really looking at the details of what we gave up, the 2 first-round picks, everybody says that we got robbed and we lost in the trade, but you got to think about it. We didn't have first-round picks for the last 5 years. And look what McVay ended up doing. He ended up winning the division, going to the playoffs, and going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like 5 years without first-round picks is not really anything crazy. You know what I mean? So that's why I really look at that trade. It was Jared Goff in the third for Matthew Stafford, and I feel like we win the end of the bargain. We finally get a seasoned, well-veteraned, a guy we don't need to hold his hand, communication cut off 15 seconds. Oh, my God, I can't read defenses and et cetera, the problems that we had with Jared Goff. So I feel like fantasy-wise for Matthew Stafford, he still remains, probably some of the guys you can get in the later rounds. He still remains fantasy relevant. He was one of my guys to have that comeback year, being that he was having the weapons around him, but being that now he's with the Rams, you have Woods, you have Kupp, you have Cam Akers, Tyler Higbee. He makes all these guys fantasy relevant. They all get a boost. So when you go to Jared Goff's side to Detroit, can't really say, he brings any type of fantasy relevance to anybody around him. But I think
he's going to be a superstar. He's going to be a superstar over there.
I really feel like, Marvin Jones is probably on the way out. He's probably going to cash in. He's also a free agent. Kenny Galladay could end up staying. He could get the tag. I think that would be their desperation. We got to keep one of them guys out of the wide receiver core. So I definitely think Galladay definitely gets the tag ASAP. But you got to think about it. Like, you have Jared Goff. I think you understand when you're making that trade that the less time he has the ball in his hand, more successful the offense can be. So that you should see a lot of checkdowns with Swift. So I really think that helps Swift out with his fantasy value.
I think you're crazy. You're looking at Jared Goff, who was the number 1 pick in the draft. Then you add 2 first-round draft picks. Oh, and by the way, you did give up a third too. So yeah. You gave up a significant amount for a guy. Jared Goff, who's 26 years old, still has a load of football left. And if he doesn't, you still got 2 first-round draft picks. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 first-round draft picks in the next couple of years to relinquish that quarterback. And by the way, you're getting a third this year too. So to me, you look at Matthew Stafford, he's 33 years old. Is he better than Jared Goff? Is he that much better than Jared Goff? I don't know.
Really? You've praised Matthew Stafford and hated on Jared Goff all time I know you at this network.
No question. I'm not a Jared Goff fan. Everybody knows that. But if you look at his numbers, and maybe it's Sean McVay, maybe it's not. Jared Goff makes throws. He does. He's not an inaccurate thrower. The problem with Jared Goff that scares me is him getting out of the pocket. He is a scary person when he's outside of the pocket. But so is Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford he's the prototypical pocket present quarter. I love Matthew Stafford. Everybody knows I love Matthew Stafford. What scares me about Matthew Stafford is he's injury prone. That's one. Number 2, you watching Matthew Stafford and what he has done over the years. He's 33 years old, and the guy has had problems with his fingers, his wrists, his elbows. This guy can't stay healthy. And I as a fan of Matthew Stafford, it kind of bothers me. If you were a Rams fan, you gave up. And I know you're going to say, well, Sean McVay, he hasn't had a first-round draft pick since he's come to the team. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. They traded it for this. And they find players in different rounds.
Brandon Cooks, which nobody understood.
Last year's draft was not a good draft for the Rams. It wasn't. They added Akers, who it looks like he could be a player. I don't know if he's a number 1 running back. I would say he's a number 2 running back, but he was sensational as the season progressed. All in all, their draft last year was not good, and they have no first round this year. Now they don't have a third round this year. I mean, what do they have? And you're going into the season with practically the same team. Oh, and by the way, you're strapped under contracts. because you took Matthew Stafford's contract on. So, yes, you did get rid of Jared Goff. And everybody says, oh, you got rid of Jared Goff. That's why they added that. I would have kept Jared Goff and then traded him for more picks or something like that. I would have found any kind of way, because that's what they wanted. They wanted 2 first-round draft picks and a third. They added Jared Goff because they couldn't afford him if they brought Matthew Stafford. I would have traded his ass and got something for him. There are so many teams looking for a quarterback right now. He's 26 years old, and he was in a Super Bowl 2 years ago. And I was 1 play away from winning a Super Bowl. So,
yeah, true.
I mean, if he won the Super Bowl, would you have traded him and 2 first-round draft picks and a third for Matthew Stafford? The answer is no. So why trade him now? I mean,
we traded him now because you could see the frustration and the relationship between Goff and McVay. McVay's getting frustrated that he couldn't fix this guy, because you got to remember, McVay didn't draft Goff. He was dealing with Goff because he was already there. So if you think about it, he thought he was going to take on this project. He could potentially fix Goff, fix some of his decision-making, his mechanics, get him more understanding of how defenses work. I shouldn't have to tell you what the defense is playing because you're a professional quarterback. You know what I mean? So his decision-making is what really got him out of there. It wasn't anything saying that he was inaccurate, that he was not producing and making wide receivers overthrows and all this other stuff. He just was a okay, quarterback. He wasn't going to make us win that big dance. Yeah, we got there, but we got to be honest why we got there. It was our defense and running backs. It's not like we ever came down to it and said, Jared Goff, you need to win us this game. It never came down to saying, Goff, we need you to go out there and make that big play. He had no heart. There's plenty of times where I see him slide before the first down instead of taking that hit, instead of, making a better check down or making a better decision in that pocket. I really don't understand how he doesn't see the blitz coming when it's coming straight at you. You know what I mean? That's just my frustrations with him.
well, listen to this. We are talking to the host of the Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones. LaQuan, listen to these numbers. And this is why I would tell you why I think this was a bad trade by them. Mm-hmm. His career is almost 64% completion percentage passing. Better than Tom Brady, better than Drew Brees, better than Peyton Manning was. Right there. And that's in almost 4 seasons. Just think about this. Think about this. He has 18,000 yards in 4 seasons. There's only 2 quarterbacks in their first 4 years that is still in the league that has done that. 2. And he's one of them. Okay. He has 107 touchdowns to 55 interceptions. That means he's got 50 more touchdowns than interceptions. How many players in the league has that kind of ratio? So again, when you're looking at these numbers, as bad as he is when it comes to, and he also played in a Super Bowl his first 3-4 years in the NFL. So how could anybody think that this was a good trade? I think this was a bad trade only because he was involved with it. I don't like Jared Goff. But you cannot put in a number 1 pick in a draft and give up 2 other first rounds and a third and say, oh, my God, we got Matthew Stafford, so we're okay. If they don't win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, McVay is going to be fired. They're as far as I'm concerned, their future, there is none. I mean, they don't have a future because they just traded their future away. I mean, seriously, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I hope the Rams win a Super Bowl next year because if they don't, Sean McVay is going to get killed. He is going to get killed. And you watch, Matthew Stafford in his first preseason game is going to break a finger and he's going to be out for the first 7 games of the season. You watch. It'll be that long, though.
No. All those injuries he faced, he played through, though. Let's be serious because 9 years before missing, major games, it's kind of like, I could take that guy on. At 33 years old, man, we got to remember Russell Wilson's 33 years old. We're not having this conversation about, is Russell Wilson too old? Can he get the job done? No, because it's Matthew Stafford now, and he's coming off of a major injury, coming from a city that hasn't won anything ever. You know what I mean? They haven't done anything. Sorry for Detroit fans if you're listening, but he's in a hot zone to where like nothing's going on around him. He has 2 wide receivers that were possibly leaving him, Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. Get me out of here. You know what I mean? He needs to not waste his career in Detroit. So he's getting a revamp, maybe a potential opportunity to go to the Super Bowl with the Rams.
Hold on. Russell Wilson actually won a Super Bowl.
He actually, Legion of Boone won that Super Bowl.
He actually played in a Super Bowl twice. This guy, Matthew Stafford, has never played. I don't even think he's been in one playoff game his whole career.
He's been in 3. He's never won a playoff game, but they also got screwed badly against the Cowboys.
Oh, stop making excuses. And
really? Oh, okay.
You
were bashing the refs of the Super Bowl, but okay.
I had every right to bash them. Look at the play calling. I mean, look at the calls that the referees had in the first half of the game that practically screwed Kansas
I agree
City.
with you. I'm saying the refs are more critical in a close game, I would imagine, like the way the Lions got screwed against Dallas.
They're absolutely dumb. That's what I'm going to say. They're probably the dumbest when it comes to referees, umpires, whatever. And that's saying a lot with the MLB umpires. They're absolutely horrendous. Yeah. So when I look at the NFL, after what I saw in the Super Bowl in the first half, it was like, here you go, Tom. Win another one for us.
Most definitely. I agree. I was just like, anything else?
Here you go, Tommy. We love you. We love you. You saw Tom after he beat who did he beat?
It was the Saints. I think they were showing that image of him like high-fiving
the referee and shaking his hand. Yeah, well, and maybe you should pat me on the ass. You might like that. I'm Tom Brady. Maybe you could rub it on. Maybe Genie will come out of my ass. I mean, seriously, everything that you've seen with Tom Brady, I'm not saying Tom Brady doesn't deserve. Listen, a win is a win. There's nothing you can say, but it was kind of fishy to me, and a lot of people think it was a fix. I don't think that game was fixed. I've always said this. I think the Atlanta Falcons game was fixed. I've always said it. I watch the game over and over again. It pisses me off every time I watch it because all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, the Atlanta Falcons, their defense completely got tired. All of a sudden in the beginning of the fourth quarter where Tom Brady was on the 25 or 30-yard line, they got tired. They completely died in the fourth quarter when they were dominating the game the whole game. It made no sense whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, all these creepy, weird things happen with the Atlanta Falcons. The mistakes that we're making. Kyle Shanahan, the
mental mistakes,
ridiculous play calling I've ever seen in my life. I saw him do the same thing with the San Francisco 49ers. And I pray to God Mike LaFleur coming to the New York Jets doesn't do the same thing. You know what? I'm going to stop running the ball. I'm going to throw the ball. It's just so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. You are the best running team. When you had the Atlanta Falcons, you had Tevin Coleman and you had Freeman, Devontae Freeman, he was one of the best running backs in the league.
Coleman also got hurt in the fourth quarter, though. Keep that in mind.
It doesn't matter that Devontae Freeman. He was the better of both. And Devontae Freeman, they stopped running the ball. And then you saw the same thing with the three-headed monster they had with the San Francisco 49ers. Ranked number 1 in yards, ranked number 1 in touchdowns with running backs, and they stopped running the ball the last 8 minutes of the game when they were up by 10 points. Does that make sense to you? No, Kyle Shanahan's a moron. That's what I'm going to say. So that's all I'm going to say about that. That's my whole riff on that one. But as you guys know, we are talking to the host of Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones.
So let's get back to fantasy now. One of the stars of the year were rookie receivers in particular. A very good draft for them. We saw Justin Jefferson almost being winning rookie of the year, Brandon Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb. A lot of these guys, T. Higgins play very well. It was a very good class right away. A lot of times you say, all right, it's the second year they'll break out, the third year they'll break out, but a lot of them played very well. So which receiver do you think will be the highest drafted in drafts next year, both with regular drafts and with dynasty drafts? And also, which receiver do you think takes the biggest leap to being a superstar?
Oh, man, Justin Jefferson for sure will probably be the first, year 2 wide receiver off the board. I mean, the kid is exceptional. He's explosive. I definitely love his route running. He's aggressive, physical off the line. I definitely like Justin Jefferson to be on my roster. Maybe his ADP sits right now in the 4th round, which is probably like mid 4th round. I definitely like that he sits there right now, especially if my draft strategy, which is most of every year, is running back, wide receiver. So he'll end up being my wide receiver 2, be very compliment to my wide receiver 1, whoever I get in that 3rd round. But next up, I'll probably say Devontae Johnson off the Steelers. I definitely think he's the next star up there too, as well, that can take that huge leap with Juju on his way out. So he was seeing like as many targets a game as, once upon a time as AB. I don't think people actually realize that. Seeing 13 to 14, 15 targets a game, that's nothing to actually be slept on. So Deontay Johnson is definitely one of those guys too that will be coming off the board.
You want to hear my prediction of where Juju's going?
Let's hear it.
He is going. You ready?
Yeah.
He's going to, there's 2 teams. He's going to the 49ers, 1, or the Indianapolis Colts. That's my prediction. T.Y. Hilton will not be with the Indianapolis Colts next year. He's a free agent. They're not bringing him back. They will have the money for Juju, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get Carson Wentz over there. Sam Darnold goes over there with Juju, and I'm telling you right now that could happen. And if I'm right, I was right about the Super Bowl. I was right. Was I not, Speedy? Say it.
You picked the Chiefs.
But what did I say if Tampa wins? What did I say?
Gronk was going to have 2 touchdowns.
And Leonard Fournette?
Yep. Leonard Fournette was going to play well, too, which he had 100+ from scrimmage.
Mm-hmm. And I said, what about the defense?
That they're fantastic and be the reason they're going to win.
That's what I said. I said that if Tampa wins, that's what I said. And what happened? I was right. So I'm not saying I'm always right, but I have to give myself some kind of credit when I am. So I'm a decent fantasy player, actually. I'm pretty damn good. But I didn't play this year because of the whole stuff that was going on in the world, and I just wanted to stick it to the fantasy, the NFL and the NBA. So you know what? You're not getting my money, baby. And so I told you to kiss my ass. So that's all I said about that. But I love fantasy. So before we let you go, if you look at teams this offseason, what is a team that stands out? Who do you think could make the biggest leap this offseason with free agency and the draft that could take them all the way to the top and possibly a Super Bowl contender? Who do you think?
Oh, man. That's a hard one, honestly, off top. I would love to see the Jags to win something, even though they really don't have like a true, number one wide receiver. James Robinson is amazing. I think they bring in Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer puts his best players in space and top skill players in position to actually perform well. So I definitely would like to see a night and day thing happen with them, but them to win a Super Bowl and, year one, I really don't see it, but they can make some noise in that division as definitely with Urban Meyer there.
Wow, I never heard that. Jaguars.
There's another rookie receiver I forgot about too. Shenault. Wow, I can see a big leap out of him.
He's going to be very explosive. He's one of the guys that I'll end up getting later in the rounds. And
Speedy's lover.
I actually really did like him out of that draft too. I think if he didn't get hurt as much as he did in college, I could see him being right with the Judy and Lamb, like when they were picking. They were that way because he was really talented, especially his freshman year at Colorado too. So that's definitely something to pay attention to.
I will say this, LaQuan, he actually sent him a pair of his tidy whitey.
I did not
signed it.
Did not send him anything of the sort because they don't exist, and Laviska Shenault does not know me.
Yes, he does.
So nice try.
He's a big fan of yours. I mean, he now wears it on his face because with everything going on with COVID, he needs a mask. So he wears, smells Speedy's junk. So there you go.
No, he doesn't, and he wouldn't.
Nice.
Well, let's move away from that because I'm sure you don't need to hear.
Don't let him lie to you.
So I just want to ask because we've had a lot of different fantasy guests on the last month or so, and they do a lot of different creative things. Is there anything creative and unique that stands out with your show, with your companies that stand out that's very unique? And if so, what are some of the things that they've been doing? What are the things you want to keep on doing with fantasy football since it's really a growing industry?
Yeah, I really just want to keep being myself. I think that's what stands out with me. I'm not too much of like beat you in the head for like 30 minutes of numbers. I'm just going to give you what it is real. I'm going to give you what you need to hear, not what 10 other people on TV are telling you. You're not going to get copy and paste here. You're basically going to get everything that nobody's talking about or things that are going to be, unique this week that or guys that are just not being talked about enough. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people take what they see on TV or some of these top YouTube channels and basically copy and paste and put like a small sprinkle of a spin on their channel. So for me, you're just getting me being myself, me having a good time, talking fantasy, drinking some beer and some tequila shots maybe on a Friday night.
Jeez.
You get a good time with me.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't drink, but I might as well watch somebody just have a little fun and get drunk. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Get drunk, talk fantasy.
Maybe we'll send you Speedy Petey's underwear, and he'll sign it.
No, I'm okay.
You don't want my. If I were to get anything, I would not send you underwear. I'm not gonna.
What would you send him?
I'm not gonna sell him short like that. Maybe I'll buy some tequila and send it to him.
There you go. I'm okay with that.
I'm sure you'll like that way more than the underwear.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, he's got a nice setup as it is. He's got a really cool microphone.
Look at him. He loves your microphone.
And by the way, wearing the same shirt, which is definitely a weird coincidence.
This wasn't planned. This wasn't planned.
Not planned with the shirt.
Look at this. There's these two guys, man. They're wearing matching shirts. I wonder if they're wearing matching underwear.
I will not reveal.
He's not wearing any.
I won't either. You don't have to reveal that to him. So believe me, if I were to send anything to you, it'd probably be a tequila.
All right.
Or beer, whichever one.
Oh, man. LaQuan, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
Man, you can find me on Twitter, Real Deal Fantasy, Instagram, Facebook, especially on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can find me basically everywhere that there's social media, even Tumblr, MySpace. I'm everywhere, man. OnlyFans, I'm there.
MySpace.
The blast from the past. I used to have like 10,000 people that follow me on there. I don't know if I went on there. If I went on there, I probably couldn't even find myself again. You know, I mean, I haven't been on there since like, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Like 05, 04?
Yeah, I think it was even earlier than that.
Like my father with his Facebook account. Like he made it the first year it came out and hasn't used it since.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Well, I used it for DJing because I traveled all over the country. So I had like 10,000 people that follow me on there.
Nice.
Most of them were women. So that was the only nice thing about it.
You dirty dog, you.
Well, I'll tell you this. If I was going to share my underwear, I would be sharing it to the women, not the men. But Speedy,
no, don't listen to him.
I don't know.
Again, LaQuan, I would not share underwear. I would share liquor. Don't worry.
You share liquor, make you sicker, if you know what I mean.
Oh wow!
Remember, LaQuan, he likes your mic.
I do. It's the coolest mic I've seen. I'm not even.
It's like never ending.
LaQuan, thank you for joining us, man.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate you guys reaching out.
I want to get you on again. We would love to get you on again. We'll have some fun. Well, as the season progresses, before the season starts, I'd like to know your take of what you think of fantasy. It'll help some of the guys out there, because we have a lot of fantasy people, but everybody has a distinct way of drafting and their way of drafting. And obviously, most of the guys that we have on the show, we have fantasy shows. A lot of people think that they're the fantasy guru. If you may, I hear all the time. So, and you want to know something? They say the fantasy guru, and then they play me and they lose. So I don't know.
Exactly. You'll never hear me put expert or guru behind my name.
I love it, and I love your mic too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, LaQuan.
No problem, man. Peace out.
As you guys know, we were just talking to the host of the Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones. Great guy. Great guy.
He was awesome.
He is. He's a great guy. And he had a lot of fun with us. And I by the way, Jillian gets us these great guests and good personalities, really.
Very good personality.
Yes. And had a lot of fun with us and happy to have them. Before we go, okay, and we were just talking about basketball. I do want to talk about, and I'm not going to get too much in depth with hockey. But yes, my Islanders shut out the New York Rangers yesterday. And I was so ecstatic because the Beef called me today. And
oh, jeez.
I didn't get a chance to watch the game. It was the first Ranger Islander game I never tuned into. Could you imagine that? I usually watch all the Ranger and Islander games because I like sticking it to the Ranger fans. When
I think it was Monday. I think you were chatting with me after the show for a while. That's what it was.
Yeah, and I didn't watch the game.
I didn't see it either.
I didn't watch the game, and I heard how the Islanders could completely shut down the Rangers. And then of course I hear about, oh, did you see Miller play? I said, yeah. I said, oh, he looked really good. He was passing the puck really good. I said, how many goals did they score? Oh, that doesn't matter. It does matter.
I mean, it's the hardest sport to score in.
It does matter. And they didn't put the puck in the net. So as good as he was and how good as he looked, it didn't even matter to me. So there you go. Before we go, and I will say this, I watched in this football season, and I know a lot of people, they look at the football season and they're like, oh, what are these teams going to do in the offseason? What sticks out in the offseason? I'm a Jet fan, and what sticks out to me is they got to decide what they're going to do with Sam Darnold. Are they going to go after Deshaun Watson? Do they draft, if they don't get Deshaun Watson, they keep Sam Darnold. Do they draft a quarterback at number 2 and then keep Sam Darnold on and have him, fight for the position and then decide what you're doing with Sam? I have no idea what Joe Douglas is going to do. When you look at the Giants, there's a lot of problems the Giants have this offseason. First of all, Leonard Williams. What are they going to do with Leonard Williams? Are they going to re-sign him? They only signed him to a 1-year deal. He had a sensational season. I think he had 14 and a half sacks.
Yeah, he led all interior line, or he was second to Aaron Donald in interior lineman sacks.
And now he's going to be asking for big money. And I think it was a big mistake that the Giants didn't extend his contract a little bit longer, being that it was changing and transitioning into a 4-3 where he fit the 4-3 better than the 3-4.
Yeah, they probably would have got like less money at the time if they paid him right away, rather than maybe now having to give him a lot of money. I don't know if he's not going to make the top 3 type interior.
He's going to make $18 million,
but he's going to make a lot. Yeah,
he's going to make $18 million a year. I mean, you're talking about he's still fairly young. Leonard Williams is what, 28 years old?
I think he's younger. I think he's 26.
I mean, he's a kid, and you can get right now Leonard Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets think about bringing him back. I mean, to me, you put him on the 4-3 with Quinn Williams. I mean, that's a scary. That's a scary front seven. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to happen. And
they need too many edge rushers, I think, to worry about interior. Plus, interior linemen, even though they've gone earlier in recent drafts, it's still something you could find later, at least maybe as a run-stopping type to go along with Quinn Williams, and then Quinn Williams could be the pass rusher that he has been all season long, too.
He was one of the best run-stoppers in the league.
Tremendous.
I would say, rated, he was the number 1 run-stopping defensive player in the league. Go look at his percentages. I mean, they're not hidden. I mean, you can see it. And the Jets defense was not at the top of the league. So to see what
they were still top 10 against the run, though, which was good.
Yes, and they were top 10 against the run because of him. Every time he was out, teams were running all over him. So you saw when he got out against the LA Rams, you saw what happened. Eckers started running the ball right up the gut and started killing him. And Ecker couldn't do anything when he was in the game before he had that concussion. So you see the difference of the Jets when he's in the game. And that shows you how good of a player he is and what he could be moving on for the New York Jets, especially in Robert Saleh's defense. But Speedy, you're looking at the offseason. What team, and I asked this to LaQuan, what team do you think has the best chance because of the draft stock, because of the money they have, because of the team that they have and the way it's built? Who do you think has the best chance to come out of the division and make some noise and possibly be a Super Bowl contender? Who do you got?
The Super Bowl contender, I think you're looking at a lot of teams from the NFC West. I think obviously the Rams are a big deal right now, which they're not going to make a big leap. But the 49ers is a bounce back candidate. I think you could definitely see it. And the Cardinals, too. I think the Cardinals made some great strides this year. They still have a lot of money. I think there's like 7th or 8th in terms of overall money. They don't have much to get either. They're a very deep defense. They struggled when Jones went out. So maybe they need a little more pass rush depth. But they're a team I could definitely see making a leap because Seattle, they were not good in the second half of the season. The Rams, will see if their guys could play well defensively with Brandon Staley now being the head coach of the Chargers. So it could definitely be a leap that the Cardinals can make. I could definitely see them being that next team to make a threat because a lot of the teams you see make the Super Bowl in the NFC, they were 7-9 teams the year before, 8-8 teams the year before, stuff like that. And even Tampa was 7-9 last year. Obviously they got the big offseason, but they made that big leap too.
All right, put them on. Beav, what's going on?
How are you, my friend?
I figured you were going to call. I figured.
Why'd you figure that?
I don't know. I just figured. What would you like to talk about, bud?
Well, no, I heard you guys talk about what teams are going to be, surprising next year.
Oh,
the best
here we go. Here we go.
No. I think, to tell you the truth, I think the Rams are going to be a very scary team next year with Matthew Stafford. He's a better quarterback than Goff, and that defense is still. They still got all their players on that defense side of the ball. They're going to be a scary team with Stafford. They really are.
I think they'll be better. How much better with Matthew Stafford? Right. That's gonna be the question because you gave up a lot for Matthew Stafford. Listen. I just gave you Jared Goff's numbers. Jared Goff's numbers. There's only 2 quarterbacks in their first 4 years that has had the numbers he's had, and he is one of them. Okay. I mean, he's had a very good career so far. He's almost averaged 4,000 or more yards every single season.
Yeah, but I think Stafford's a more talented quarterback than Jared Goff.
Yes, he is. He's got better arm strength, obviously. We know, but he's 33 years old. The guy's injury prone.
I know he's older, but I'm saying I still think this could be what the Rams need. So.
They definitely got better.
One player.
They definitely got better. It's also a matter of the division too. Like I said, the Niners could be a strong
but
bounce
their-
back
they-
candidate.
But their defense is still strong enough to stop anybody in the league.
They are. Well, you have to see if they could do it without their coordinator though, because Brandon Staley got the head coaching job with the Chargers.
Yeah,
so
but
how
they
much
still-
did
but
he
they-
affect
but-
it? We'll see.
But you still got the players, so
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. They made a big leap last year more than I ever expected.
They still have the talent on the defense side of the ball. So
They do, but they
they'll be
have,
fine.
and their still woes is their running game. I still don't trust that Ecker is their number one guy. I think he's a great number two. They need a power back, and they don't have one. So, and I've said this over and over again, running in defense wins championships. As good as Matthew Stafford could be in that offense, is he that much better than Jared Goff as far as numbers are concerned? The answer is probably no. Okay. He might make more bigger plays or play calling audibles in the big game in the playoffs, but
I think he's a smarter quarterback than Jared Goff.
Jared Goff is a winning quarterback in the playoffs. It's a proven fact. He is. He's a winning quarterback in the playoffs. Go look at his record in the playoffs.
That, but you know me, I think the guy stinks. So.
I don't like him either. But Jared Goff,
we know. You don't.
I don't like him either. But Jared Goff, honestly, he's not as bad as people think he is. Okay, because numbers don't show. Do you know that his passing percentage, his completing percentage, is almost 64.5, which is more than Peyton Manning and Tom Brady?
So I guarantee you he's going to have a terrible season next year.
Maybe with the Lions, maybe, or how do you know? Maybe he has a better season than you think. He still throws 35 to 3,900 yards in a bad place.
We're all guessing, but in my eyes, I think he's going to have a terrible season next year.
Well, I could say that about a lot of quarterbacks. We don't know. Teams can transition into another. Matthew Stafford might have a horrible season with this.
You could be right. He could, but to me, I don't see that happening. But
I worry about his injuries. I love Matthew Stafford. I love that fact he's going. The fact that he's going home. He's going to be closer to Clayton Kershaw, which is his best friend. We all know the story about him and Clayton. They're both playing in LA, and he wanted to be over there where his family is and where his parents live. But that doesn't mean that being the fact that he's going over there and he's going home, that he is going to be a championship type of quarterback. We have never seen him win the big game.
I understand that, but this could be the team that he does it with. Who knows?
The guy's never won in the playoffs. He's never won. So you're Jared Goff, say whatever you want about the guy, and I can't stand him. The guy has won in the play. He went to a Super Bowl. He was one play away from winning the Super Bowl. One play away. To me, you can't take that away. Could you imagine if Jared Goff won the Super Bowl? Would you have traded Jared Goff, 2 first-round draft picks and a third for Matthew Stafford if he won the Super Bowl? The answer is they're out of their minds if they did.
If he would have won a Super Bowl, I would have thrown up. That would have been terrible.
He was one play away. If he made that, if what's his name again? If Cooper Kupp caught that ball, in the fourth quarter with 2.5 or 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, they could have won. They could have won. So, then Cooper Kupp dropped the ball, and you're going to blame that on Jared Goff?
No, you can't do that. Not at all.
So things happen in the big game. You can't blame the quarterback for everything, even though Jared Goff played like crap in that game. So did Tom. Tom didn't look good in that game either.
No, Wade Phillips' defense.
Yeah, he didn't look good in that game either.
No, that was a defensive game, that Super Bowl. So
yeah, and this past weekend it was an offensive game, at least for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, the other team that's going to be surprising. I'm curious to see what they're going to do is the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Like, what's going to happen with that?
I will say this, Steve. There are stories coming out of Green Bay that Aaron Rodgers is done.
Out.
He's done with Green Bay. Now, if
I'm hearing that too. So
if that is true, do the 49ers make every possible route to bring him home to the 49ers? He grew up a 49er fan. He's from over there in that area. He loved Joe Montana. He was so pissed off that they didn't draft him at number 1 and they drafted. So Alex Smith, I think if you put him over there with Kyle Shanahan's offense and the weapons that they have, I'm not going to put him on because I know Jeff wants to come on with you right now. He wants to come on.
No.
I know you don't want to talk to him.
No, I'll hang out. So. But, I mean that would be interesting too. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is so fed up with the organization. And I don't blame him. I really don't. So,
well, the only team that I could think about him going or wanting to go to is the 49ers. I can't see him.
And then the other team in the AFC is the Jets. What are they going to do? Are they going to get
Would
Deshaun
you?
Watson?
Would you, as a Jet, if the Jets had a chance to get Aaron Rodgers, do you make that move? Do you bring?
But Rodgers is older. I think you're going to go for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I know that, but let's say Aaron Rodgers wouldn't mind coming to the Jets. Would you make that move? Would you give up a significant amount, knowing that you have a chance for the next 2 years to win a Super Bowl?
Brett Favre deja vu. That would be.
No,
he's better than Brett Favre.
It'd just be funny though.
I don't think you make that move. I don't think you do it for
Salah wouldn't do
Watson.
that.
I don't think they would. Yeah,
not for Rodgers. Not for Rodgers. No.
I don't think Salah would do that anyway. I think the only place Rodgers would probably want to go or plan to go, unless going to the Bears just to shove it up, what's butt.
No,
the Green Bay Packers.
Favre went to the Vikings.
Just shove it up their butts. I could see him doing that, but I think more unlikely it would be the 49ers. That's where there's an open spot over there. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably on his way to the Patriots.
Yeah, well, yep, I agree with that.
I think that's going to happen.
Knowing the Bears, if they were to do that, they trade 5 first-round picks and their entire front 7 for Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, would this stuff all happen before the draft or like closer to the draft?
I think Watson will probably get traded, like Errol was saying earlier. I think right before the draft, maybe 2-3 weeks or something.
All
before
right,
the draft.
So Jeff is talking. He says, "How about the Cowboys?" He says, "This guy gave up watching football. How does he know what happened this season?" You have any answer to that?
I don't even know who you're talking to. he don't exist. So.
Oh, he doesn't exist. So
he don't exist. So.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. The only place that I think Aaron Rodgers could go is the 49ers. I can't see him going anywhere else. I mean,
no,
they're just. It doesn't make any sense, So
it's going to be a very interesting offseason. This offseason,
yeah,
there's a lot of moves. There's a lot of moves to be made and seen, and I'm just curious on what's going to happen. Even with the Cowboys, there's problems in Dallas with Dak.
He just.
Speaking of Dak, Jeff comments: did Dak get the MVP?
He might have got the MVP if he kept playing the way he was playing all year before getting hurt.
He was playing well.
He
was playing well. No question.
But I just don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to franchise him or if they're going to give him that contract.
I think they're going to franchise him.
They're not going to let him go.
You can't give him that contract because you don't know what he's going to be like after this injury.
That's why I think knowing Dak Prescott and who he is as a person and all the trials and tribulations that man has been through, I think he's going to be just fine. I really do. I think he's going to.
No, I agree. I agree with you, but I just don't know what the Cowboys organization is going to do because they do some stupid things.
We know.
Jeff says all year. You mean 2 games?
5 games.
5 games. Yeah, he did play well 5 games, and he was on pace of breaking records. He was. I don't know if he would have. I don't like Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, tough to tell.
I don't like Mike McCarthy.
I don't think he would have either. But I mean, I just the way he was playing. You have to assume that he could have.
Before we let you go, let's make a bet. If if the Cowboys do not play well this year, all right, I believe Mike McCarthy will be fired at the end of the year. If that happens, you have to go on our show, live on our show, with a shirt off, and you're going to say, it's got to say with lipstick on your chest, "I love Jeff." What do you think?
No, get out of here. Nope.
I love Jeff, and you got to sit here and do a radio show with us.
No, I don't know who you're talking about.
Come on, man. This is something you're so sure that Mike McCarthy is not going to be fired at the end of the season. I beg to differ. I think Mike McCarthy is not going to last out that contract, and if he does, it's not going to be past 3 years. And he's got a 4-year contract with the Cowboys. I don't think he's lasting after 3. So if he lasts next year, he'll be fired after that year because I don't think Jerry Jones and him are getting along. You heard the Cowboy fans are at the end of the season. They wanted him fired. So I don't know. I can't see him.
Well, you can't fire somebody after losing all their freaking starters and their quarterback and this and that. You're not going to fire a first-year coach on that term.
Well, nobody said they should, but Jerry Jones is a big wild card in this because his ego, more than any other owner, stands out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I'm curious to see.
That's why it could still happen because of that. He fired Jimmy Johnson too early, yet Jason Garrett was here for an eternity. So
Speedy's Jeff says, good to see he stopped. Hold on. Good to see he stopped crying long enough to call in. That's what he says.
I don't cry, so.
Oh, by the way, he says, I missed it. Did Dallas win their second consecutive Super Bowl?
It's coming soon.
It's coming soon. So this is the first. Now the three-year streak starts.
I don't know when, but they will win 2 in a row one year.
They're gonna win 2 now. Huh?
They'll win 2.
2 in a row?
They'll win 2 in a row at some point. It'll happen.
When? Wait, what kind of 10 years? 5 years? What do you got?
I don't know. I can't say.
2 years in a row. I mean, that's a lot.
I don't know when. But
I mean, the last team to win two times in a row was the Patriots. That was a long time ago.
And you might see Tom Brady do it again next year.
Don't count on it. I mean, don't count.
We'll see. Listen,
the league's different.
The only team in the NFC that's made 2 Super Bowls in a row recently was the Seahawks. That was it.
It's different.
Good luck.
It's different.
I called the Super Bowl this year again. So
all right, so call it again. Call Tampa to go to the Super Bowl again. Call them.
At the beginning of September, I will come on and I'll.
All right. All right. This dude is delusional. He says, "Does he live in Narnia?" It's a fantasy land.
I don't know. I don't know if Narnia would take it after the Barry Sanders take.
What do you mean, Barry Sanders? It was Curtis Martin. I mean, seriously.
Well, Barry Sanders was the original. Curtis Martin was only the recent one. Barry Sanders was the original one that that deserves a plaque just for that in quotes and high sarcasm.
I will say this. If I ask Curtis Martin right now, who do you think is better, you or Ezekiel Elliott? He'd probably laugh at it.
That's fine with me. So
I know it's fine with you. Everything's fine with you. You're a piece of work.
You can put a plaque up with all my quotes. I don't even care. You can put it all over the studio.
You do have the craziest quotes. I will say that.
Well, thank you.
Oh, by the way, Jeff says Banana Land.
Oh, he hasn't brought that one back in a while.
Banana Land.
I don't know who you guys are talking
to. These two. I wish they could go on. I would love to get. I would pay $100 to the winner to have you two go at it in a trivia contest, back and forth, yelling at each other. I would pay $100 to the winner.
There might be one question asked, and that's all I'll do after that.
No, I think it would be really, really funny. I think it'd be really, really funny, and I think just back and forth banter with you two, it would be hilarious.
I don't know who you're talking about.
So if you lose this alleged contest, you'll lose to somebody you never heard of. From that logic.
I don't know. I'm talking to nobody. So.
All right, you're losing to a person that doesn't exist or supernatural from your logic. If that were to happen, but yeah, it's gonna happen. So
you two are too much.
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know.
And you don't know who he is. You don't know Mr. Banana Land Man. You don't know. Nope.
Don't know him. He doesn't exist.
Jeff says, real trivia though, he can't just answer Zeke Elliott to every question.
Maybe we'll test that theory and throw out some negative ones. Who has the most fumbles in the 4-game start to a season? Well, Zeke was up there last year.
Oh, all right. Let's leave Zeke out of this. I still love Zeke. I don't think he's better than Curtis Martin and Barry Sanders. I think you're out of your mind. But I like Zeke. I liked him in Ohio State when he came into the NFL, and I knew he was going to be a good running back. I just think he's on the wrong team now. I think he needs to be traded. I just don't think Mike McCarthy's offense fits his game. And you saw it this year, and I think you're going to continue seeing it. Any perhaps possibility that we could talk about Ezekiel Elliott being a Hall of Famer. If he stays over there with Mike McCarthy, he will never be a Hall of Famer. Okay, I'm just letting you know that.
We'll see what he does.
I bet Mike is wearing. I bet Mike is wearing his Dak Feedy pajamas right now.
I don't know. I don't understand.
I love it.
Would you like me to define footy pajamas?
He knows what footy pajamas.
I don't.
Well, you said you didn't understand, so.
No, he's talking about he doesn't understand.
I know. I know. I'm kidding.
Oh, Mike.
And so, well, we'll see what happens with this offseason. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Oh, it's going to be a great offseason. I think it's going to be very
intriguing. It's going to be a really good draft. It's going to be a good draft, too. So a lot of things might happen.
A lot of things might happen. It's the quarterback position on the transition of what quarterback is going to go where. You're ready to see it.
You might see 2 trades in the first round.
I think you're going to see trades before the draft. If Deshaun goes somewhere, and I believe he will, he'll be traded probably 2-3 weeks before the draft. And because you have to decide on who, after the combine, where you're going. By the way, Jeff says he knows who I am. I own real estate in his brain. That's what he says. So
don't know what
he owns real estate that is more than the value of the last Cowboys Super Bowl ring.
and I heard you take on the Rangers too. So
listen, I was just kidding around.
No, I know you were, but I'm saying though, like. I mean, they played a good game, but the Islanders just shut them down offensively, defensively. They shut the Rangers down.
I think Varlamov has the Rangers, Rangers.
Yeah, I think he does.
God, is he going to be another Halak?
And Gorgiev has the Islanders.
Yep, he does. I mean, that's true. But
listen, Shesterkin played a good game, and then Hayek made a terrible pass to the middle, to nobody, and that was it.
Yeah, well,
Rangers have done that for a while. Either they hold the puck too long or they make these weird passes.
We also have a guy named Matty Martin that dominated the game. Matty Martin. Matty Martin. Oh, man.
Well, yeah, but like you said, they're both going
nowhere. They're not going anywhere. I hope the Islanders don't go anywhere. I don't want to see them make the playoffs. They need to add offense this offseason. They are going to have money. I want to see them take some of that money. And then I have a lot of money. I think they're going to have like $10 or $12 million.
It's more than they've had in a while.
Yes. Take that money and go buy yourself a good offensive player.
The Islanders, like you said, a good offensive player to help Barzell because he's by himself right now, basically.
Well, if they had the money, they probably would have Mike Hoffman right now. I really do believe that. It was all about money. If Mike Hoffman got what he wanted,
well, that was the same
he'd be an Islander right now. And he's having a good season too. Again,
that was the same thing with
what's he have, 5 goals? I mean, he's gonna score a short season. He's gonna have like 25, 30 goals. I mean, the guy can score 40 goals in an 82 game season. I think
Did you say that about Panarin? Panarin should have been an Islander too. You said because of he went to the Rangers instead because of the contract.
Well, I think he went to the Rangers because of Madison Square Garden and that the fact that the Islanders didn't have a home. If the Islanders had if they had the Belmont, I think Panarin could have went to the Islanders. Absolutely.
Yeah, allegedly the Islanders also paid $1.5 million more per year than what the Rangers were. Yeah. It was the same kind of thing with Tavares. The Sharks actually gave him the best offer. Yet he went to the Leafs because he wanted to go home. It's the same kind of thing.
It's all about the home. If the Islanders actually had a place to play, it would have been different. I'm buying stock in Kleenex. Between Mike's crying and his social life, sales will skyrocket. Get him back. Get him back. Get him back.
No, I just heard blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I didn't hear a word. So
I love it. Mike, I love you, man.
Don't know what he's talking about. But.
I love you, Mike.
You got it, buddy. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Mike the Beeve. Love it. Love it. Back and forth banter. Jeff going back and forth.
Let's see if we get a rebuttal here from Jeff.
No, I think Jeff gave his take on everything that's going on in the world right now. Oh, well. Oh, what a great show, by the way. I'd like to thank the creator of the Canadian National Best Ball Champion League, Will Harris. I'd also like to thank the host of the Real Deal Fantasy HQ show, LaQuan Jones. And by the way,
here he is.
Jillian Podcast. Listen to, you can answer it. Listen to the Multiverse cast hosted by Amanda Jones and WWSRN's own Jillian Cohen. Available now on Anchor and Spotify. All right, before we go, Jeffrey, what's going on, man?
What a crybaby. What a crybaby. I'm shocked that he knew what was going on in sports. I thought he gave up watching.
We thought so too.
You two, man. You two. I would love to get you two, to do a show, back and forth banter, and just have a trivia contest back and forth. I think it'd be so funny. I'd pay to see.
I love that he could point out terrible passing. He's an expert. He's a Cowboys fan. That's all he can identify is terrible passes.
Well, he'd say, I'd beg to differ. We had Troy Aikman.
Yeah, Troy Aikman is maybe a top 3 quarterback of all time, in his opinion.
20 years ago.
Was he even alive when Troy Aikman played for that team?
Yes, that's what made him became, Troy Aikman's one of his favorite players. Yeah, he loved Troy Aikman.
So they haven't won since he was like 7.
Yeah. No, the Beav is 30. It's 37. So the Beav was about in his teens. I think the Beav.
So he's 2 years younger than you.
He's 1 year younger than me.
No,
yeah, so you'd have been a teenager, 13 or something like that.
No, it's got to be longer than that, right? Because we're 25 years removed from 1997, right? Like 24 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, when was the last time they won?
96. So he if he's 1 year younger than Errol, that makes him 13 or 14, whatever.
Yeah,
his
he was
13.
Mm-hmm. He was a teen, and
wow,
they haven't won anything since. That's for sure. I mean,
but now apparently they're going to win 2 in a row at some point.
Mm-hmm. So
no, this was the second of 3, though.
That's right.
Speedy, you were supposed to get on him. This was supposed to be the second of 3. What happened?
The second of 3 Super Bowls.
That poor kid.
Yeah. Look, last time I noticed, Dak was wearing his foot backwards.
Maybe he's wearing them in the feety pajamas.
I will say, Dak Prescott, out of all the quarterbacks that were drafted in that class, Dak Prescott was the best quarterback in that class. Crazy to say that, but he has been. It's crazy.
I mean, yes. I mean, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Carson Wentz had a year where if he didn't get hurt,
MVP.
I don't know, what did he get hurt? Week 14 or something?
Yeah, against the Rams.
15 or whatever it was. Right. Like, so, and that's great. But you know what's literally overlooked with Dak, right? He puts up numbers, right? But forget last season. He got hurt last season. He basically wasn't there or whatever. But the season before, Dak couldn't beat a winning team. He beat one winning team, the Rams. He lost against every other team that was over 500. So he does well against teams that are bottom feeders. He throws for 400 yards against the Dolphins or the Giants when they were real crappy, or the Redskins when they were terrible. He's good at beating really bad teams. He never beats anybody that wins. That's a fact. He beat the Rams, one team that year.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. He lost against the Bills on Thanksgiving at home, by the way.
Yeah, they got destroyed.
Right? Like, he lost against. Right, he lost against every other team that was good.
Yeah.
Every team.
It's a shame.
The dude is not clutch.
No, I wouldn't say he is, but Dak Prescott, to me, he, out of all the even Jared Goff, yes, Jared Goff played in the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz was the backup in the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz actually won a Super Bowl as the backup in the Super Bowl.
Yes, he got a ring.
Yes, but he was a big part of that. I mean,
to get them there, of course.
That was the MVP season that he had. Yeah. I mean, he was fantastic that year. But honestly, the best quarterback out of that class is crazy. It's been Dak. It really has been. So, and that's not saying much. And by the way, both guys, Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, are getting traded. And they're the only lonesome guy that's probably going to still be with the same team that he was drafted by was Dak Prescott. So that's saying a lot too.
Jury's still out on that one though too, right? Because supposedly they're not close to a contract. Mm-hmm. So he comes back and gets another franchise tag and then gets hurt again. Who wants to sign him?
Mm-hmm. Now the real question: if Dak Prescott wins 2 straight Super Bowls somewhere else, what will we say to the Beef now?
Oh, that would be so perfect. Wouldn't that be perfect? Wouldn't that be perfect?
I think that was the first thing, or one of the first things I asked him when he initially made that take. I was like, out of pettiness, what team will he be traded to do that?
Right, but this is kind of the thing with those other quarterbacks that were in that class, though, right? Is listen, the Bears stink. They've always stink. Imagine if Trubisky goes to like the 49ers and has some weapons and has some, someone that knows what they're doing, at least on offense.
Errol
That
pick
could
him for
turn around
MVP.
his career completely. Right, but that could turn around his career completely.
Wouldn't that be crazy that Mitchell Trubisky was traded, the Bears traded up with San Francisco to get Mitchell Trubisky, and then he goes to the 49ers and wins the Super Bowl with the 49ers? That would be perfect.
Right.
That would be perfect.
Right, but some of these guys have an opportunity to do something. Oh, goal! What a move! 1-1, Boston and the Rangers. Eat shit, Beeve. Oh yeah, I think that was shorthanded too. Wouldn't that be great if that was shorthanded? That's great. No, but like, listen, Carson Wentz could go somewhere else too and really thrive with another team. Like, I don't know anyone saying that Carson Wentz doesn't have talent.
No,
it's just not working in Philly.
Mm-hmm. I think if he goes to Indianapolis, watch out. Watch out for Indy. If he goes to Indianapolis with Frank
that
Wright,
could be dangerous.
Yes, with that offensive line, yeah. And then maybe you add Juju Smith-Schuster over there, because that's where I think he's heading. It's either him or it's either them or the 49ers. Because I think Sam, if Sam goes somewhere, it's either the Colts or the 49ers. That's all I could see Sam going to. I don't, even though they say the Bears, I don't think the Bears, well, actually, the Bears are known to give away a lot.
Yes, they were allegedly giving away a first-round pick at Roquan Smith for whatever reason. An alleged Carson Wentz deal.
Yeah, so I guess he can go to the Bears.
Ryan Pace should be fired just for that rumor coming out.
I mean, this is going to be one of the more fun NFL seasons with the carousel of quarterbacks kind of shifting all around, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, you're almost watching like the most dumb version of like Madden football right now with all the quarterbacks going different places, right?
Yep.
It's going to be, Wentz is going to be somewhere else, and Dak will still be wearing his foot backwards, and Trubisky will be somewhere else, and who knows what the Jets are doing.
Well, the Jets, I'm interested to see what the Jets do in the offseason. I don't expect a guy like Joe Douglas to go out on a spending spree and give up all that money this season, because I think Joe Douglas realizes it's going to take at least another year to be a contender. And I don't think they're going to give up a ton of money just to go on a spending spree to hope that this year is the year that's going to solve their problems. I think it's going to take a little bit longer.
Even if they trade away Darnold and just get just lowball it, just a second round pick, right? Just a second round pick. They're going to get a new quarterback. You're going to get more receivers. They have a ton of draft picks. They really could turn it around quicker than you think.
They can. I just don't see Douglas going out there and going on a spending spree. I don't. He's not that type of guy. You saw what he did in last offseason. He's not a guy that's going to go out and he does it the Baltimore way. He has the money. The Johnson family will open up their pockets. They prove that they will. I just think that he's going to be a little bit more lenient on how he's going to attack the free agency market. I really do. I think he'll go after Tooney. I think he'll go after him. I think that's a guy that they'll definitely be interested, being that the Patriots are probably going to let him go. Probably. That doesn't mean for sure. So
who knows what they're doing?
Yes.
Who the hell knows what they're doing?
But the Jets are going to be looking for some offensive line, because that's what he does. And they're going to look for a pass rusher, which is something they've lacked for years, really for 25 years, since John Abraham. They have had nobody. And they can't expect, even in a 4-3 defense, Quentin Williams is going to do everything again this year, because the guy can't do everything. It's one player. So
there's another rumor that came out earlier today too, that Orlando Brown wants to be traded from the Ravens, who has been the Ravens right tackle, a nice right tackle for them, because he wants to play left tackle. Now Douglas didn't draft him, but Ravens mold. Do they make a move maybe on him for maybe trading him for maybe a second round pick or something like that?
That could happen. I mean, I know the Jets are going to be looking for a right tackle because I've heard that they're going to probably move on to the guard position. And that will be the biggest offensive line in football if you add somebody like that.
Between Brown and Becton, I think they're combined like 730-something pounds.
You also talk about Font, who's 6'6", 305, 310 pounds. And if you decide to bring in Tooney over there, I mean, that's a big line. That's a really big line. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I still think that they're 2 years away. I do. No matter what they do, even if they add Deshaun Watson and they make the playoffs this year, I still think they're 2 years away.
I love the Jets. The Jets have been 2 years away for the last 20 years.
Probably, but I do like Robert Saleh, and I've said this 2 years ago. The best move the Jets made in that offseason was bringing Joe Douglas, and I said that. And
I mean that may very well be true. It really might be true, Errol. But let's be honest, when Jamal Adams was with the Jets and they were balling out, everyone said, "Oh, they're 2 years away," right? Like every year they were 2 years away.
I just didn't. Even when Jamal Adams, everybody knows I never liked Jamal Adams. I never liked him. There was something about him. I just never liked him. The Jets are going to have to pay Marcus May this offseason. He is a free agent. He's going to want to get paid. We're hearing about Neal, possibly. He wants to come and play for Robert Saleh. He played with Marcus May in Florida. A lot of people believe that could happen, adding the safety. And maybe Ashton Davis would be, because you heard with the Texans, they want 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 starting defensive players. Maybe Ashton Davis is one of those young guys that they send to the Texans if Deshaun Watson quite possibly does go to the Jets. So there's a lot of things the Jets are going to have to do, but make Quinn Williams happy, because that kid this coming season on that 4-3 defense, he's going to have a breakout season this year. I'm telling you right now, he's going to have a break. You love Quinn Williams. I know you do.
I think he's a great player. Yeah, I think he's a great player. You know, I mean, he's one of the few Alabama guys that has come into the league and done really well. I mean, most of them haven't. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, they certainly get more guys into the league than any other team. So there's a lot of them. But
CJ Mosley,
right. I mean, kind of. He's done all right. Derrick Henry's done all right, and Julio Jones has done all right. But I mean, more times than not, they've been flameouts.
It's true.
Tim Williams was the best linebacker in the country at a time.
I really liked him out of that draft. I remember that.
How about Milliner? You know, how about Milliner, the best corner in that draft?
Rolando McClain. I mean, there's a couple.
I mean, right. That's the problem that you have assessing talent from Alabama, is they're so good everywhere that it's easy to play well on Alabama, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so I mean, you know, I realize people hated when I said this, right? But coming out of college, what did I say Tua Tagovailoa was?
Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
The next Tim Tebow. And he's gotten to the NFL and he can't throw.
He's terrible. He is. And
turns out throw into Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, and who's the fourth receiver on that
Ruggs.
Team? It was another one.
Ruggs.
It was another one.
Ruggs.
But, that's right, Ruggs. Right. I mean, turns out throwing to those 4 dudes is extremely easy in college.
Mm-hmm. And sure looked it.
Which is what happened with Tim Tebow. When Tebow had Percy Harvin and Louis Murphy and Aaron Hernandez and the 2 pounds he's blocking for him, it wasn't hard for Tim Tebow to look great on that team.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
Which is half. Yeah, it's half the problem of evaluating people from Alabama. But Quinn Williams is pretty beastly.
He is, and hopefully he keeps developing. I think he's going to really develop in that defense, that's for sure, because I think it fits everything that he is as a player. So it's going to be fun. We'll see what happens. Jeff, thanks, man.
You know who isn't going to be good next year?
Who?
The Cowboys.
Well, I figured you were going to say that, so I was definitely waiting.
It's not a logo; it's a rating, 1 star.
Jeff from Tampa.
They're terrible.
Jeff from Tampa, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, by the way, before you go, did you see my man Brady hammered?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was having fun. He threw that over. I couldn't believe he threw the Lombardi Trophy like that. He's lucky that didn't go in the water.
Who's ever seen drunk Tom Brady? That was epic.
Oh my God! Thank God that didn't hit the water. You would have heard.
They would have gotten it out.
Yeah, after it hits all the way under it goes like 50,000 leagues under the sea.
Or gets swallowed by an alligator.
That's salt water. There's no alligators in that. That's salt water.
He's very lucky that didn't happen.
I hope Mike was watching, though. I'm not sure if he remembers what a championship parade looks like. So I hope he got a good eyeball on that one.
Oh, believe me, he can watch the championship parade. He just needs a video cassette player.
Oh, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
I mean, think about that. He can't even watch his team's last Super Bowl. They don't even make VCRs anymore.
Goodbye, Jeff. You're this poor guy.
Cheers, boys.
Oh my God. I'm gonna choke. It's crazy. Oh man, what a show. By the way, thanks to Will Harris, LaQuan Jones, our two guests. Remember Jillian's podcast, listen to the Multiverse Cast, hosted by Amanda Jones and WWSRN's own Jillian Cohen, available now on Anchor and Spotify. We will be back. Remember, you can listen to our Weekend Crunch on the great 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. Guys, definitely check it out. You can listen to us live if you're here on Long Island in a 60-mile radius on 103.9. If not, you can go to iHeartRadio. You can hear the show with me, Speedy, and the great Joshua Little J Silverberg, who will be Little J-ing himself all day long.
Little J is now a verb, too.
Yes, sir. That's it. We will be back next week, Monday and Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. We have a lot of great new shows coming to the network. And by the way, we have a new midday show. And Mr. Snowman is now finally coming home to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Finally. So, Tyler Harrison, eat your heart out, buddy. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.